Every single time, every single crime, every single lie, early lie. Every single hour, every single day, every single night, early lie. I know it's hard to believe it's the whole forest, not one tree, and it's every branch and leaf. They're born to deceive, but I'm telling you the truth. It's not just one or two, it's every single Jew. They all hate you, and it really breaks my heart. But their lies are off the charts, and they only bring us harm. You gotta get smart. So if you want to be safe and don't want to get replaced, it's best you start being based, or you'll get erased. Every single time, every single crime, every single lie, early life. Every single hour, every single day, every single night, early life. I know it's hard to accept that all the ones you've met lie with every single breath. They want you dead, but you must not be weak. Just open your eyes and see they always exploit the meek. See their vampire teeth, and it can make you cry to learn your life was full of lies and their face was a disguise. But you must hide. So if you want to live and protect all of your kin, you have to grow thick skin, or we won't. Every single time, every single crime, every single lie, early lie. Every single hour, every single day, every single night, early lie.
And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to the stream. It is Wednesday, June 4th, 2025, and we are here covering a bunch of different topics. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, my ninjas. Welcome. As you can see, I'm a little sweaty here. I was just got done doing a quick little workout. You know, what I'll do sometimes is if I'm short for time, I'll just run a calisthenics circuit, pull-ups, push-ups, and some air squats. And you'd be amazed at how much calisthenics just gets the job done, guys, if you train with some intensity. So, but anyway, welcome to the stream, ninjas. We got a bunch of different topics today. We're going to be covering the big, beautiful bill. We're going to be covering an interesting interview that rapper Cameron did with the Punisher. We're also going to be giving you guys Diddy updates, the Iran nuclear deal, and a couple other things. Talk about some time you learn. So, got a good show for you guys today. I can see that you guys in the chat are starting to like the Early Life song. It's a song by Lucas Gage. He made another one on JFK, which is actually really interesting. It's a rap song on JFK. Maybe I'll play that one next time I do a JFK episode. But yeah, man. So glad you guys are here. You could be anywhere else in the world, but you guys are here with me. The best political/cultural commentary in the world. We cover true crime over here. We literally can do it all. Okay, we're diversified. We cover all different types of topics, man. Between girls being 304s and reacting to that, to cultural commentary when it comes to race, when it comes to politics. We cover politics pretty deeply. We cover a lot of foreign policy on this channel, lots and lots of foreign policy on this channel. Because like I said before, I said this last night, that if you truly want to understand them boys, right? If you really want to understand their power in America, you must understand Middle Eastern foreign policy. Because, oh, and I didn't get to say this yesterday, but let me say this. So look, no offense to the Wignats and all those guys that are like, you know, super overt with their dislike of them boys or their power in America, but that's just only scratching the surface. Because if you just talk about their influence in America, that's not enough. You need to be able to understand why they have said influence in America and what it all leads back to. And all roads lead back to Israel. So it's not enough to just talk about how they control media over here or how they control certain things over here. You need to be able to articulate why. And the only way that you're going to know that is by understanding Middle Eastern foreign policy. And this is something that I don't see many commentators talk about. Honestly, the only people I could think of that talk about this deeply are like me and Nick when it comes to this. Because we identify them here stateside and then also what's going on in the Middle East as far as like what they're doing and everything else like that. Because make no mistake about it, guys, all the bullshit that we deal with over here, it's to preserve what they got going on over there. So if you only understand what's going on here in the United States, in the West, you're only getting 50% of the picture. You're only getting 50% of the picture. So you need to be able to understand everything. Like, I'll give you guys an example right now. Palantir is hot right now, right? Everyone is talking about Palantir. You know, Alex Karp and them. Well, at face value, people are like, oh my God, Trump is going to give them access to all American citizens. This is a problem. Huge issue. Okay, that's true. That is true. But ask yourself why. Then you do a little research and you figure out Alex Karp, right? You just go right here. And then it all makes sense, right?
Every single time.
Right? So, and then you figure out, oh, this guy's a hardcore Zionist. Oh, that's why he sold Palantir to the Israelis. Oh, that's why they have Lavender and all these other programs that kill fucking people. Wow, okay. So you need to take it a step further. It's not enough to just talk about what's going on here in America. You got to understand why the things are occurring here in America for the betterment of Israel. So again, it's very important to understand this stuff. So yes, on this channel, we cover everything, my ninjas. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Okay, so let's go ahead. We can kick it off with Diddy a little bit here. So this interview, right, was done by Cameron. I think came out like a day or two ago. For those of you that don't know who Cameron is, I'll show you guys a quick little thing here. I used to listen to him a lot when I was younger. I'm not going to lie. Him and the Diplomats. Here he is. He's an American rapper, okay? Beginning his career in the early 1990s as Killer Cam. He worked with Rockefeller Records for a bit. He came up with the album Come Home With Me. He came out with the song Hey Ma, right? And Oh Boy. You guys remember that? Man, I'm really bringing it back. Early 2000s, this guy was on top. So he started a podcast, I guess, called Your Welcome Network. And he's known, he's the rapper that pretty much coined a lot of terms. No homo, yeah, that came from them. And then also wearing pink and purple. Those were like the colors, the trademark colors that he was wearing back then. So yeah. Shout out to DPG with the 50 gifted subs, bro. I appreciate you so much. Shout out to you, my friend. Yo, a bunch of you guys should be able to get a bunch of subs now. So, yeah. Rookie Band says, hey, Myron, next week I'm going to go on a ride along with an ATF special agent. I'm seriously considering becoming an agent for the ATF or DE after college. In your opinion, is it a viable career path at 22? It's going to be very difficult for you to get a job with them right out of college, bro. So, but apply to every federal agency, bro. Apply to all of them. DPG says, smash that like button, guys. Sure. Appreciate that, DPG, with a big $100 super chat. Appreciate that, my friend. So let's play this clip because this is kind of a funny interview. Cam asked him about what happened, with him and Cassie. Isaiah's JRC says, love the intensity right off the bat, bro. It's always them every single time, bro. I'm telling you, man. Right? And that's why you guys probably wonder, Myron, why do you talk so much about foreign policy? Because if you don't understand foreign policy, you won't understand the problem. You understand, guys? The bullshit they do over here is so that they can send money back and support over there. Okay? So it's not enough to just say, oh my God, they do all this shit in America. Like, and that's where the Wignats, that's their blind spot, bro. That's their blind spot. I never see any of them talk about foreign policy, ever. They just talk about them controlling porn and the Hollywood and shit like that. It's not enough, bro. You got to go all the way. You got to understand the why. You can't just know the what, you got to know the why. Super important. But yo, DPG, thank you so much, bro. 50 gifted subs and $100 right off the bat. I really appreciate that, my friend. Also, I'm making a community for you guys. The OSS, I'm making a community for you guys. I don't know when I'm going to launch it yet, but it's coming soon. It is coming soon. And then we got an episode of Fresh Fit for you guys. We're going to talk about Cardi B and Offset and talk about all the red pill truths that came true during the course of that relationship and marriage. Okay? And yeah, smash that like button, guys. All right, let's get into it.
Puff and Cassie get in contact with you.
Yo, they called up like they was just hiring a regular party. Cassie hit me directly, said her name was Janet, and said it was her birthday.
And as you guys know, she used a fake name. I think it's Janet Black is one of the fake names she uses. So that's why, he didn't know who they were at first.
So her husband said she could hire a dancer. So I just booked it like a regular party. At the time, it was like $200. I gave her a quote. She said she was going to be there with some friends. They gave me an address and the time to show up. And I'm thinking I'm showing up to do a party, just a regular little striptease for a birthday girl.
But like, that's a great answer. How do they find you? Like, is it ads, internet? Like, how do they even track somebody like you down?
Oh yeah, yo, all my marketing and stuff in my business is like SEO, so Google searches. So if you go online in the New York City area and you put in male strippers for hire or whatever, my website's gonna come up. So they just clicked on the website and called the number, and I just happened to pick up the phone. I don't think they were looking for me specifically.
Right.
I just picked up the phone.
Got you. Let's say the first time, where did these events usually happen at? Puff's house, Cassie's house, hotel? Like, where did these events happen at?
I was all super high-end hotels.
Gotcha.
So I remember it was the Trump Tower, Essex House, the London Hotel, the Gramercy Hotel. It was another hotel, Central Park West.
And just so you guys know, this is how it normally went. Diddy and Cassie almost always had these freak-offs at hotels. There was a few times they did it at her apartment with more trusted escorts that they used, like Jules. But for the most part, most of the time it was always done at hotels, like he's saying. For obvious reasons.
I don't know. I don't remember the name, but they were all.
And he's not saying it, but if I'm not mistaken, I think Cassie contacted him the first time in the early 2010s, 2011, 2012-ish. Was the first time he got contacted. And this is the Punisher, by the way, guys. This is the dude that has the erectile dysfunction shit. This is him, a.k.a. in pursuit of freezer meat, this guy.
Along the lines of super high-end, super suites. One of the suites, man, in the London Hotel, it was so crazy when I got out of it. I Googled it, and the joint was like $30K a night, yo.
Wow.
I never seen nothing like this in my life, man. The hotel room looked like, you know that scene in the Titanic when they walk in that ballroom and the stairway well comes down?
Right.
Like the hotel room was crazy, man.
How often did they call you or book you?
Like I said in my I can't remember the exact amount of time. So I estimated between 8 and 12 times, but it would be like every few months, but it would be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like I would come Friday night, then they come back Saturday night, then come back Sunday, and then I might not be called.
Now that makes sense because as you guys know, with the freak-offs, they used to go sometimes between, a couple hours to a couple of days. You know what I mean? So that's what it is.
For 3-4 months, and then they just pop up. So at the time, I thought they lived out of town. They would. She would call me from a Cali number, so I assumed they were out of state. And she basically said, "Yo, can I hit you when we're in town?"
Right.
But it would be multiple nights in a row, but months in between.
Right. And if some of these questions that I asked you may seem repeated because you've been asked these same questions, I just want, we have a different audience from with the interviews you've done, and some people may not know the trial or what's happening. So some of these questions, I don't want to seem like it's redundant if you answer them 100 times this week. So I was reading.
Yeah, because it's a bunch of niggas watching Cam. That's why.
That
let's be honest here.
In the beginning, you didn't even know what was going on or that it was even Puff was participating. Could you explain your first time going to one of these?
Jose says, what up, Myron? What is the take on people saying that Elon Musk really did Doge to get taxpayers' data to plug his AI he created with Palantir? Well, remember that Musk isn't a part of Palantir. Obviously, he's cool Peter Thiel, who has significant ties to Palantir and the PayPal mafia, etc. But you could make that argument. We don't know yet. I know Musk isn't too happy. He's been complaining on Twitter all week. about the deficit spending, which is going to come into this big, beautiful bill, by the way, which we'll talk about that.
Right.
Yeah, so I really believed they were a married couple. Like when I got there, I didn't recognize Cassie.
Right.
Like I saw.
Also, the first time that they showed up, and again, I'm telling you guys off a testimony that I heard him say and from Cassie, so I'm weaving things together for you guys. Whenever escort would show up the first time, what ends up happening is they, when an escort shows up the first time, Cassie's always wearing a mask, and Diddy wears like a veil or a mask as well, so they don't know what's going on.
Face, she looked familiar, but honestly, when I saw her, I thought she was Megan Good.
Right.
Like if I was gonna pin, I was like, yo, I think this is Megan Good. But then when I looked on the Google, Megan Good was much thicker. So I couldn't really figure it out. So, and then when she said her husband, when Puff walks out to finally, do his voyeur thing and see what's going on.
So hold on real quick. It didn't start with Puff in the room.
Nah, it never started with him in the room.
Okay.
It would only be me and her. And she said at some point her husband's going to walk in and I'm not supposed to acknowledge him, look at him, act like he's not even in the room.
Right.
So we'll be like on the couch, let's say on one end of the room. And then like on the far end of the room, it'll be like a table with a chair. And eventually he'll come in the room and like sit in the area, of course, the room, like watching. And we're supposed to act like he's not there.
How often, pardon me, not how often, how long did it take until you realized that it was Diddy?
Bro, like, I want to say like over a year.
Damn.
Get the fuck out of here. A whole year? Why? So let me, how long?
I ain't gonna lie, that's crazy. But, look, I know some of you guys might be saying, what the fuck, how's that possible? Remember, guys, when he would go to these things, right, it's dark in there, there's candles, and he's not supposed to acknowledge Diddy when he walks in the room. So he's supposed to kind of just, be there doing his thing, rubbing baby oil on himself and not really know what the fuck's going on. So I guess I could see why he might have not known for a while that it was Diddy. But damn, I didn't know it was that long because the prosecution didn't ask that. How long did it take you to figure out it was Diddy? They just asked how he figured out that it was Diddy. And I told you guys this before. He basically looked at one of the TVs and it said, "Welcome, Sean Combs." That's when he put it together. But yeah, because when you show up to this stuff, bro, like, you're dealing with people that are already kind of be shady and they want their privacy. So they're going to do things in the background to make sure that, you don't know who they are and shit. So, and also, guys, we're going to cover what went down in trial today as well. Let's keep watching this interview, though. But, it's very interesting to see this all kind of play out here.
Okay, let's. I want to stick to that for a second. But how long did you know till it was Cassie?
So the minute I found out it was Diddy, that's when I knew it was Cassie.
So it took a year for you to find out for Cassie as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't recognize it. Like when I jumped out of it, I did try to do the Google searches. Like I wanted to try to figure out who it was,
Right.
but I'm Googling a married couple.
Right.
So every result I'm getting is not leading me to the right places because they're not married.
Got you.
So then, and I never found out with a visual cue. It was a hotel, the ex's house, and I would get there, let's say 2 a.m, and sometimes nothing would pop off for hours. So in this case, they threw me in like an extra room in the suite. Mm-hmm. And just to kill time, I happened to cut on the TV, and the TV had a welcome message. So the TV said, ex's house would like to welcome Mr. Sean Combs. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I had no idea, man.
So that's how you found out that it was Cassie and Diddy by just cutting on the TV and seeing the introduction on the television. Wow.
Cutting on the TV.
Wow. I've seen also in the transcripts that you would say that it was just a sex scene in the beginning. Nothing, no intercourse. How long until you had actual intercourse?
I remember back when Cam was bald. This nigga got a full head of hair now, bro.
What was happening in the first few sessions when it wasn't any intercourse?
Nah, it was only the first session where it wasn't intercourse.
Okay, so 10 times.
And guys, the way the story went the first time was they rubbed baby oil on each other. What's his name? Diddy comes out while he's rubbing baby oil on himself and Cassie, and he has a veil on, and he kind of walks out whacking off. And let me show you, I did a funny short on this shit, bro. Let me show y'all niggas this shit real quick, man. This shit is kind of funny. But yeah. And then Cassie asked, hey, do you want, Cassie asked him, do you want to finish? And he said no, right? For obvious reasons. But, she basically offered him, do you want to smash? And he was kind of weirded out, so he said no. Let me see if I can find this shit for you guys. I'll keep playing this.
One time it was only not intercourse the first time.
The first time. And it was offered, yo. But I was so bugged out. Like this wasn't my hustle, right? So right. I'm really in there thinking this is a married couple and they want to do some voyeur sexy scene. Mm-hmm. So we did the set up on the couches, the baby oil rub down or whatever. And then at some point, Puff jumped up. I didn't know it was him. He left the room.
All right, so here we go. I got y'all ready to help, bro. Could you? All right. Shout out to my guy Brett for editing this shit, bro.
Could you imagine, bro? Like you're standing there rubbing baby on yourself and you got some chick across from you. You're supposed to do like some sexy scene and you know that her husband is supposed to show up and then you're just like, you're doing this shit, like kind of looking around and the room is dim and there's like candles everywhere. And then all of a sudden Diddy walks in. He walked in with a veil on one of them. Out the peripheral of my eye, I just saw this.
Yo.
Could you imagine, bro?
Yo, man, that's really what happened, chat. He be in the corner whacking it, man. Yo, what the fuck, bro? Okay.
She left the room to talk to him, and she came back like, yo, that was perfect. We happy, we good. And then she said to me, yo, do you want to finish? Meaning, I guess, do I want to bust a nut? You know what I'm saying? Right. And my first example, I'm trying to be professional. Like, I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, if y'all good, I'm good. This ain't about me. And I just left. But she did say, all right, well, when we get back in town, we want to hit you again. Is it okay? I'm like, yeah, I just got $2K to rub down like a super.
Yeah, so you got paid like $2,000 instead of $200.
Bad chick. So I'm not, of course I'm down if you want to hit me back, but it was offered to me the first time and I actually turned it down, trying to be on some professional.
Right. Was baby oil mandatory?
Mandatory,
Yeah, he got a baby oil. That shit's mandatory. I seen also in the transcripts that you said it was just supposed to be like a sexy scene, meaning that Puff would tell you to move the candles a certain way or tell her to move the candles a certain way for lighting purposes for his visual. Could you explain that?
Yeah, so when I first got in there, she made it clear that this was a scene we were setting up for her husband. Okay. So, it was like couches, all the furniture in the suite was covered in sheets. Like everything was covered in sheets. So it was like a single chair across from like a big sofa. And we were supposed to sit on there and I'm supposed to put oil on myself. She's supposed to do the same. And then at some point we're rubbing on each other and we doing little like masturbating. I'm masturbating, she's masturbating, but you could tell.
And that's another thing. So Diddy would have them like stare at each other and goon, which is something else that he wanted them to do, which is strange, but it's what he would do.
It was act.
Right.
Like we're like in character, like one of them corny Cinemax movies. You know what I'm saying? Like the sex scene in them little Cinemax movies. So we're trying to make it look like the part, and then he would give subtle cues because he's across the room and the room's dark, everything's candle lit. And he'll say like, yo, move a little bit, yo, move the candle, I can't really see, or move the body. And he would never talk to me, not one word to me, only to her. And if his instructions for me, it goes to her and she tells me. So it was like a real scripted kind of routine. And it really went like that every single time.
So he was basically orchestrating a sex scene without directly talking to you, but telling her certain things.
Exactly.
Wow. Crazy. I seen also in the transcript, or I actually heard you talk about this. that Puff will have the Muslim mask on and be naked from the neck down.
Nigga said the Muslim mask. What the fuck, bro?
What was that like? Pause.
Stockholm punch.
Yo, man, this nigga Cam is funny. I'm not gonna lie. Yo, what was that like? Pause.
You talk about this. That Puff will have the Muslim mask on and be naked from the neck down. What was that like? Pause.
Bro, that was like the weirdest shit ever. You know what I'm saying?
Nigga come with the thing naked from the waist out, bro. That's why I showed y'all that short of me doing that.
Like, it's already weird knowing like a dude's coming in the room, you know? But...
And mind you, this guy has erectile dysfunction, chat. He's been struggling with it his whole life. So could you imagine you've been struggling with ED your entire life? And now some dude walks in wearing a fucking a veil? Allahu Akbar! Whacking it? And then sits in the corner and it's all dark? You don't see nothing?
You know, I'm messing with the chick, and mind you, I'm seeing all this peripheral.
Right.
So it's extra crazy because it's not straight on. So it's at the corner of my eye. I'm like, yo, this dude got on like a veil, and he's half the time he's beating off, and he's
Bruh, I ain't gonna lie. I think Cam's face says it all, right? Cam's face says it all. Yo, just so y'all know, this nigga made a book, bro. This dude made a book. Let me show you guys. Hold on. I'll keep playing the interview and I'll pull it up for you guys on the side, bro. This nigga made a book, bro.
walking side to side. So it was definitely a difficult space to try to be in. But I ain't no front, bro. At the time, I'm greedy. I want this bread. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the scenario and I'm trying to make it work. But
Yo, dude wrote a book right here. In Search of Freezer Meat, a story of the male mental health crisis caused by erectile dysfunction and the only true cure no one is talking about, a penis implant. Bro, you can't make this shit up, bro. Guys, nigga literally wrote a book. Look at this shit, man. What is that? Bro. Bruh. Yo, this trial is not real, chat. This trial is, I'm fucking shocked, man.
It was tough, man. It was tough.
It was just a veil. Somebody told me out of a Yankee fitted
Man, I would have just pled guilty if I was Diddy, bro. All this shit coming out of trial is crazy.
over the veil. Like what? Like everything. So everything was just covering the face. Super duper pause and naked from the neck down every single time.
Every single time, man. So that's a little construed, right? It was a veil, just period. Like the ones the Muslim women wear, so you don't see anything but the eyes. But I think at some point after like the year and change, and it was a while, he wore the veil for a minute.
Right.
I think they might have figured out, I saw the TV, and at some point he just changed to a Yankee fitted. So at some point he dropped the veil, and I guess he knew, maybe he saw the TV on, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I probably left it, and I guess he figured out, homie figured it out. So he stopped wearing a veil, and he was just like rocker fitted.
Right. I also seen that you say when you and her were doing what you guys were doing, he would be pacing back and forth with a bottle of Astroglide.
Yeah, man. Every time, you know, it was obviously...
Yeah, he said that on his testimony too. He could tell that it was Astroglide because of the purple cap, I think.
Something he was into in terms of visually watching this. So
what was being done with the Astroglide though? Paul.
I guess he's using it as lubricant to beat off. You know what I'm saying? That was, you know, he's pleasuring himself during the action. So obviously he's using that for lube.
Do you consider Puff?
Yo, jacking off with the New York fitted is crazy, bro. What the fuck? You go from Derek Jeter to Derek Jerk Off. God damn.
For cuckold.
Yeah, I mean, the whole time, that's what I thought it was.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I thought it was.
It's because you keep using the word voyeur. This is cuckold activity.
Yeah,
We gonna-
without a doubt.
Yeah, we gonna step it up the cuckold.
Yeah. So I'm saying voyeur because
Yeah, voyeurism is just basically looking, right? But like this, yeah, 100%. This is just straight up cucking, bro.
that's what she said to me.
Right.
Like when I came in.
Cause that,
But
you know
if
why?
I-
Cause they down. You know why? Cause voyeur don't seem as bad as cuckold. So they downplay it with the yo. I'm just a voyeur. Nah, you was an official cuckold, nigga. Cause voyeur can mean you watching anybody, not your girl. Cuckold is when your girl is in play. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I agree with that definition. I agree with that. Because voyeurism is literally anything, bro. That's just like pervy niggas that want to like look at shit. When niggas want to see specifically it be their girl, yeah, 100%. That's
he's sound cuckoldish, man. Did Puff ever participate?
Nah, man. Nah, he stayed across the room. Like I said in my testimony,
Bro, that'd be crazy if the nigga was wearing Timbs and a Yankee fitted and nothing else, just naked everywhere else. That'd be crazy.
the closest he got to actual action, like it was one time, all this stuff, almost every session happened in the living room, but it was one specific one where we got moved to the bedroom, me and her.
Mm-hmm.
So in the bedroom, he's in a closer proximity because he's walking around the bed. And at some point, like almost at like the strip club, he took like a stack of hundreds and just threw it on the bed while we was,
Oh yeah, I told y'all about that story. I told y'all about that one when he threw the stack of money and that shit threw him off, bro.
when me and her was having sex, and we both was like, what's going on? And he just was like, nah, I'm enjoying this shit.
Yeah, because she even turned back and said, Puff, you okay? And he was like, nah, I'm just enjoying this. Because the nigga just walked in and just, could you imagine, bro? Like, guys, you gotta, you just gotta, like, I don't want to put your guys' minds in a dirty place, but for purposes of, understanding the scenario, to understand this crime, you're sitting there and you're smashing some chick, right? Doggy style. And then, you kind of know that you're being watched or whatever. But then the nigga just comes into the room, barges in, and just throws a stack of money at you and her. Right? Come on, man. That's going to be fucking weird. You're over here like, trying to focus. And on top of that, you got erectile dysfunction. Right? So you're just doing it like this with your eyes closed and shit. Trying to imagine that this is somewhat normal. Trying to fucking bust a nut. Because if you don't, you're not going to get a fucking job after this. Niggas are going to fire you. And some dude fucking walks in, right, with a Yankee fitted naked, yeah, with a bunch of money, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, that's just wild. And then Cassie, she'll see what's going on because, she's obviously on all fours and shit. And because she looked back. He even said on his testimony, she looked back and was like, Puff, you okay? Nigga was smiling. He was like, yeah, I'm just enjoying this shit. Nigga got hyped. So, yeah, bro.
And, we just kept doing what we was doing.
Right. So the nigga basically, pardon me, I'm gathering the information.
Yo, see the reaction of Cam? Some like hood dude from Harlem listening to this story is crazy.
Talk. Y'all in the bed, he's circling the room, takes out sack of hundred, just throw it on the bed.
Throw it on the bed.
Wow. It's crazy. Sorry about that. I was just thinking, what was the most money you made doing this with them?
Every single time I came, it was $1,200 or $2,000. But like I said, sometimes I could come 3 days in a row.
Right. So
so it would be $1,200, $2,000, $1,200 for that. You know what I'm saying?
For that session.
3 days. Yeah, exactly.
Got you. And it will last 2-3 days?
Yeah, 2-3 days, but not straight. Like a few hours, I'll go home, you'll come back again.
And the reason why, guys, because he used to cycle in multiple escorts. Like, he doesn't know this Punisher, but what Diddy would do is when he would do these freak offs, he would circle in multiple escorts, and it would go for multiple days.
A few hours, I'll go home, come back again.
That nigga's on time. That nigga's on clockwork. That's a wild nigga, man. I also seen that you say,
yo, this nigga commentary is crazy, man.
Cassie said she felt comfortable with you. Did you take that as she liked you?
Not really. I knew it was clear, man. This was something we were setting up for her dude, right? At the time, I'm thinking her husband, because she said this to me the very first encounter, right? So I didn't think it was a personable, she's into me. But obviously, if this is something that has to be done based on their sexual fetish, well, she's going to do it with somebody that, all right, I'm comfortable with this dude, you know?
Right.
So I always took it as, however the vibe was, however things went, it worked for her. So that's why she said, I want to call you back, you know?
Got you. Did Puff ever appear jealous while you guys were having intercourse or participating with each other?
Not at all, man. Not at all. It was like good to go. Like I told you, the focus was making sure he got the right visuals, the lighting was right, put more baby oil on. Like he was into it from an enjoyment standpoint, not. Yeah.
So, but you saying he basically never was jealous. Did Cassie ever reach out to you without Puff?
Nah.
Yeah, nah. That's a big no, because he had to be there.
Nah, I was strictly business. And honestly, man, I wasn't even trying to play that, get caught up in some type of.
Yeah, the money was too good. He didn't want to fuck that up.
Fantasy. I know one of the other dudes got caught up in some fantasy of.
Yeah, the other guy, Phillips, started getting feelings for Cassie like a simp.
They could be together. I knew what it was, man.
Right.
She with a dude in $30,000 a night suites. Like I move. I can pull it off with chicks, but that's a tough act to follow. You know what I'm saying? So. Right. I saw it as an opportunity, man, and I was just trying to come through to, come up whatever way I could with that easy money, how I saw it.
Yeah, I ain't knocking you, my nigga. How was that pussy, though?
Yo! What in the niggatry is going on, bro? What the fuck? I ain't gonna lie, guys, this is why Cameron is one of my favorite rappers. When I used to listen to hip hop heavy back in the day, this guy was actually one of my favorite rappers, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. Yo, what the Yo, nigga, cut to the chase and ask the real questions, man. Yo, W journalism, bro. Nigga asking nigga's a man for the people. He's asking what the rest of us want to know. Yo, wow. Yo, like the goddamn video, motherfucker. Smash that like button, bro.
Welcome, punch.
Yo, this shit is comedy, man. Yo, smash that fucking like button. And guys, the reason why this is even funnier for me, because you guys got to look at it from my perspective, right? This shit's funnier for me because I sat in the courtroom. So when I sat in the courtroom, I listened to the Punisher straight up. I listened to this guy, like on the stand, saying this shit. I'm in the courtroom. I can hear everything. I'm taking notes meticulously, right? Because I'm like, all right, I got to report on this later on. So I'm taking notes. So I know this case to a very deep level, right? So it's really funny for me to be here, listen to this broadcast with Cam, knowing all the shit that I know and hearing all the other testimony I've heard, right? Because in my head, as he's telling a story, I'm pausing it and then giving you guys the full backstory of what happened, right? And explaining things and weaving things together. Because what ends up happening, right, if you're paying attention to the trial, witnesses' statements all start to match up. So for me, this is extra entertaining because I've heard this testimony, but now he's able to tell it in a more candid manner with Cam because obviously when he's there and the prosecutor's asking him questions, it's all business, right? He's got to answer the questions, be proper, don't go too far. He can't go into details. They'll object if he says too much shit. So now I'm hearing the testimony kind of unedited, right? the same testimony. And then Cam, instead of being the prosecutor asking questions about the crime, this nigga's asking the questions that the rest of us want to hear. So this makes it extra fucking funny for me, man. I ain't gonna lie. And probably for you guys too. If you guys have been watching my Diddy coverage, you guys know I go in crazy detail. A lot of you guys are probably very well aware of the case as well now at this point, if you guys have been watching this channel, right? So anyway, let's get back to it, man. I gotta rewind that part a little bit, bro. This shit crazy.
Stuff I could follow, you know what I'm saying? So I saw it as an opportunity, man, and I was just trying to come through to, you know, come up whatever way I could with that easy money, how I saw it.
Yeah, I ain't knocking you, my nigga. How was that pussy, though?
I mean, bro.
Look, he's got to hold back the laughter. He even knows that shit was crazy. Nigga's holding back the laughter. You see his lip quivering right there? Pause.
Even if it was fire.
Bro, was the pussy good, family? Let's stop the political shit. We was Harlem time, my nigga. You 39th Street, I'm 40.
We are Harlem time, my nigga. Yeah, because I think this guy's from Harlem too, actually. This guy's from Harlem too. And you can tell, bro, that you know how New York people sound when they talk.
Was the pussy, how was that pussy, my nigga?
Bro, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I couldn't get there, bro.
Okay.
Like, I got a two-piece.
Y'all know, because obviously niggas is searching freezer meat. That's why. That's why he couldn't get there. Bro has erectile dysfunction.
And back and forth, beating his joint. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My peripherals, my spider senses is wilding. You know what I'm saying? And especially when I found out it was Puff. When I found out it was Puff, it got all the way worse because if you grew up in Harlem, if you grew up in that era, I can't validate it, but everybody knows there's rumors, right? There's rumors that he could be, you know, interested in dudes. So the whole time I'm semi-paranoid. Like
now, what Cassie would do is she would tell the strippers that Diddy's not gay and he's not going to touch them. Because there were a few times where some of the escorts would get nervous because they didn't know Puff like that. But she would always assure them, look, he's never going to touch you. He's not gay. He's just going to be in the back watching. Like
I wrote in my book, bro, for real. I got a hearing problem.
Right.
And sometimes when he would give her directions, I would hear like something completely different. Like he'll say, yo, I like the position you in. And I'm like, yo, did he just say, I wish I could penetrate him? Like, hearing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm hearing, like, yo, hold on, wait, what did he just say? Like,
so basically, you never could get comfortable because. So let's just be clear and get the elephant out the room for the audience. You're not gay, you're saying?
Absolutely not. Bro.
Right. So therefore, you're saying that already, just to put everything into perspective, that you're there for this chicken to get this money. You don't know it's Puff this whole time. So you're already thinking like, okay, this nigga's being weird, whoever it is, and I got to keep an eye out for him because we don't know what type, in case he want to, if he get mad, if he want to join, I'm not with none of that. I'm here to bone your bitch like you paid me to do and stay the fuck out of it. But what you're saying is the paranoia intensified once you found out it was Puff and you like, oh, hold on, now this shit done got to.
And also, the other thing too that you guys got to understand, look, I know there's a lot of young guys that watch me and stuff like that, but all my guys that are born in the 90s and the 80s, you guys know what I'm talking about. Puff was on top of the world, bro. Like, early 2000s, 90s, you couldn't avoid this guy, bro. I'm telling you guys, like Diddy was like as big as Drake back then, right? He was like DJ Khaled, but bigger. Because even though he wasn't necessarily known as being like a great artist, he was known for being the dude that could bring multiple people from different factions together, right? And as being like a music mogul. And he was like the first, I would say, Diddy was the first rapper to like become a billionaire, kind of like to make hip hop into a business, to be credible and taken seriously in the business world. Diddy was that guy. See, and I got a bunch of guys in the chat agree on me. See, look, all you younger guys, you know, you might not know because I know Diddy after like 2015 he started to fall off. People didn't really know what the fuck's going on. But early 2000s, bro, he was on TV. He was on MTV Cribs. He was on VH1. He was on fucking Making a Band. He had the show with Danny Kane. You could not avoid this motherfucker in the early to mid 2000s, bro. You could not avoid him, bro. He was everywhere. Okay? Like if you heard something on the radio, it was either his shit or he worked with somebody that made that. So he was absolutely huge back then, man.
10 because
And he was like the first rapper to like really be an entrepreneur. Clothing line with Sean John, alcohol with Ciroc, Revolt Television, diversifying and dealing with other types of musicians, other type of artists. Right? He was one of the first, he was like one of the main rappers that would like be doing collabs with people. He had a whole list of A-list friends. So, yeah.
was not only am I fucking this nigga girl, but it's Puff. So now you saying you hearing shit that you wasn't hearing, and now you can't really enjoy the pussy like you want to enjoy it. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Like I'm not intimately connected, yo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I don't think I got a real erection the entire time.
Right.
Like I was loading up on any pill, anything that I could take just to get there because I could not connect.
Yeah, we
You know what
gonna.
I'm saying? It was too paranoid, it was official paranoid, bro. Like,
Right.
because I wasn't.
Yeah, and back then, like I said, he's paranoid because Diddy was that guy back then, bro. That's why he's paranoid, or he was paranoid.
I'm not used to being in that situation, and then it's like homie got on the veil and he butt naked, and then like I said, I find out it's Puff, and then it's the rumors. So real talk, I'm like, yo, I don't want this to go left.
Right.
So,
Well, listen, man, we gonna get you some pink horsepower because it don't matter what the situation is. That joint work. We gonna, you from the block. We'll send you a case up there. Nah, you already, nigga. That ain't about nothing. Did you go raw ever?
yo, bro, yeah.
No, every time he went raw. And this is actually where he had the problems. He went raw every time.
Real, bro. That same day when he threw the stack of hundreds,
Right.
like we were on the bed and I started out, I'm eating a box, right? And after, you would tell it was like some excitement, some connection. So when I pop up, she's scooting towards me for the penetration, and she kind of looked at him.
Bruh. DeGito says, loving the trial coverage so far, been brilliant. Have you guys covered the Billy Goats Gruff situation with incident took place at the Bridge W Myron W show? I'm not familiar with that. I'll be honest with you, bro. I'm not familiar with that. Your boy Lem says, Myron, haha, I got something for you, bro. I promise this to make your day, brother. All right, let me I'll put it on the side. Johnny Boy says, W Myron, what's your take on Vitaly's situation that when PH offered deportation to both Russia and US, they refused, and he might be spending his whole sentence in the Philippines? I mean, you guys got to remember, he's not an American citizen, so America doesn't really have any vested interest in him. And then Russia, I don't think Russia wants him back. He's a Russian citizen. So I don't know, man. I feel bad because, like, I like Vitaly a lot, bro. And it sucks what he's going through. Santos says, Myron, why you never buy a woman a watch? Because there's a clock on the stove. Haha. Good one. So yeah, bro. Yo, Lem, I'm looking at this picture, bro. This shit ain't even funny, nigga. Come on, man. Come on, man. This is kind of corny. I'll save you the embarrassment and not show the audience this shit. Because they'll call you a cornball if I put this up on screen, bro.
And he was like, yo, go ahead, have a good time.
That's that 2010 humor, man.
And I was wild reckless. I just,
Right.
it was what it was.
So it's only one time you went raw. You repeatedly went.
That was, let's say that was the 4th time, and then it was every time to the last time.
Got you. Gotta go raw sometime. You gotta go raw and Cassie. It be like that, my nigga. Some of my co-hosts, they got a couple questions for you, but I got one more question before they ask you a couple questions. We hear about 50's baby mom, Daphne, being involved in some of these things. Did you ever fuck Daphne, 50 Cent's baby mother?
Nah.
Okay, and the reason why he's asking that, chat, is because there's rumors that the woman that Diddy was dealing with in 2020, who I think is going to be witness 3 when it comes to the abuse, they got Cassie, they got Mia, and then there's supposed to be a third woman that he met in 2020 that had a kid. A lot of people suspected that is 50 Cent's baby mom. So that is why he asked that question, chat.
Every time I was called or involved in any way, it was only Cassie specifically.
All right, cool, man. Hey, yo, my man Larry, Sheree, you got a question?
All right, cool. Now, so anyway, I figured I'd show you guys that interview. It was some funny shit, bro. All right, let's get into the actual trial, what went down.
Jesse Weber, and welcome to Law and Crime's live coverage of the Sean Diddy Combs criminal trial at a federal court.
Why the fuck is their audio so trash?
Welcome to Law and Crime's live.
Well, Jesse, first off, I have to say it was perfect.
Prosecution's case, and I'll get into who the witness.
Guys, is that their audio or mine?
Showdown happening in the center.
Yeah, no, it's their fucking audio.
Are. We're going to have Elizabeth Milner up, our law and crime reporter, who just exited the courtroom, talked to us about today's testimony, and we have an all-star panel to take your questions for the next hour or so. Everything that happened.
All right, let's go to
His
her.
digital forensics expert took the stand. Why was he so important to today's testimony and the trial in general?
Okay, so a digital forensics expert took the stand today.
Well, Jesse, first off, I have to say it was perfect timing because the ambulance just passed by me as you were asking me this question. Also, I just want to shout out Germany for watching this. Little known fact about me is I actually grew up in Germany. But just as far as Frank Piazza's testimony goes, I was really kind of looking forward to his testimony. What did he have to say just about the Intercontinental Hotel?
Yeah, guys, it's their audio. It's not me. It's their audio, bro. Their audio is fucking garbage. Yeah, look, the audio is bad on this video. A lot of static noises. Please re-upload this with fixed audio. Thanks in advance. Yeah, this shit is trash, man. Let me see if it fixes up later.
We see Cassie using.
Yeah, that shit's bad, bro. Yep. Let me find something else for y'all, cause that shit is trash. I don't know how these niggas didn't have that, bro. I'm telling you guys, bad audio. People will make concessions for bad video, but they will not make concessions for bad audio, bro. They're just not gonna do it. Let's see here. When is the next clan meeting with Tommy? I am not sure. Let's see here. It's not the picture, bro. It's the music in the background. It's not playing any music on the background for me, bro. Okay, let me see here. Give me one sec, chat. That audio is cooked. All right, Academics Live. Let's see what he's talking about.
Blog, because I run a male blog. And so we have a male point of view, and sometimes somebody with a female point of view might differ. And when I was trying to talk to her and just ask her about certain things, she said, listen, I didn't get what I was no naive chick. I came from the clubs. I understood what shit was. It gets to a point though where a nigga is just going too crazy. Like, he trying to fuck every chick you know. He trying to fuck all the rappers you all work with. He's just going too crazy. And that's what she kind of told me was a line. She was just like, yo, it would be like the worst rapping ass chicks. And he would be like, yo, you know, I mean, it wasn't.
Okay, I think he's covering like the DDG shit or some shit like that. Yeah, but it's not his baby mom, bro. Let's see here, we'll go back.
That she was on cocaine when Diddy gave her that, purportedly made that threat that he could kill her. So the question of her credibility is something that we certainly should foresee the defense is going to try and attack, because she seems as if she has done a lot of drugs. She's admitted that she's done a lot.
He wrote that thing to in her lawsuit, Cassie referred to her ex-girlfriend that she was sleeping with on the couch. She thought that was Tiffany, but Bongolan says, no, we weren't in a hotel, and my ex-girlfriend wasn't Tiffany. Okay, cool. Have you talked with Cassie about your testimony or hers? They said, no, I've had nightmare. I scream. When was the last time you had nightmares? Bongolan says, the other day. Says, have you hired a lawyer about the balcony incident? It says, yes, my first lawyer I hired in January 2024.
Okay, Bongolan. Okay, I think I know who this chick is. Let's see here. If I'm not mistaken, this is the Asian girl. Sean Diddy trial recap woman who alleges dangled it from the balcony. Yeah, here he is. Who's Bryana Bongolan? Yeah, so I remember this. Okay, so this girl was mentioned earlier in the trial. Chat, this is the Asian girl that uses drugs, okay? And Diddy didn't like her because she would use drugs with Cassie. So Diddy did not want Cassie hanging out with this girl. This is her right here. She came up early on in the trial when Cassie talked about Diddy hanging her over a balcony or some shit like that. So, all right, so she took the stand today. All right, that's interesting.
Before. So did you mention everything in your first meeting with us? She says no. So by the way, they're jumping ahead of what the defense is going to say, like, you know, everybody has a lawyer. So it seems everybody has a lawyer who is testifying. And
yeah, and they're going to do that because a lot of these people are suing Diddy, so that's why.
And that's to kind of prevent the angle of you're only hiring a lawyer because you intend to sue and try to get some civil compensation, right? All good. All good. We're trying to get caught up here, people. Trying to get caught up. I wanted to get to the idea of, remember they showed those exhibits?
See on that video seems to be extremely high. So I personally do not agree with the strategy the defense seems to be employing here. Hanging out with Cassie, that he thought that they would do drugs together, and that at a certain stage in their
talking about Bongolan
relationship, looking around 2016 or so, that we've heard all sorts of indicators that Diddy was not happy about Cassie's drug use, and she testified that she did sometimes provide Cassie with drugs, and Cassie would pay for it, including Oxycontin, cocaine, K, X, and an array of drugs. But there's some interesting stories that have come out already this morning that we had never heard before. One incident that Bryana relayed is that she was at Cassie's house, which she said she was at frequently. She would frequently sleep there, either on the couch or on the balcony or in Cassie's room.
I'm trying to find, I'm assuming this is the guy?
Day 16 of the Diddy trial. This morning we're getting to hear direct testimony from Bryana, which is what her friends called her, Bryana Bongolan. She is the last of the inner circle of Cassie Ventura's friends from the time that she was dating Diddy. At least the last of the names that we've routinely...
Bro, I need to go back to New York, bro. I might need to go back to New York, chat, so I can fucking do this shit properly for you ninjas. I might need to go back, man. Frank.
Heard during direct testimony from several different witnesses, including Cassie herself. Now, the testimony from Bryana is coming on the heels of testimony from an expert witness who was looking to verify the validity of the infamous surveillance video from the Intercontinental Hotel that displayed Diddy throwing Cassie to the ground, kicking her a couple of times, and then trying to drag her down the hall, and some very interesting cross-examination of the defense that raised a lot of eyebrows. I am Joe Neerman, aka Good Logic. I'm a New York litigator who has practiced in this very courthouse in the Southern District of New York, and I'm coming here from the Diddy trial trying to give you the legal perspective and background so you get a better understanding as to the opposing approaches of the state and defense, and see how this trial is progressing. If that sort of thing is your deal, I appreciate if you like, share, hit before this trial even started, which displays Diddy wearing nothing but a towel and socks, running down the hall of the Intercontinental and into the elevator bank, throwing Cassie. Infamous video that has been seen by millions of people before this trial even started, which displays Diddy wearing nothing but a towel and socks, running down the hall of the Intercontinental and into the elevator bank, throwing Cassie to the ground from behind. He grabs the back of her hood, throws her to the ground, and then kicks her a couple of times before trying to drag her down the hall. And we've heard a lot of testimony about this incident. The very first witness who came forward in this trial was the manager, who is actually can be seen later on that surveillance video, who arrived on the scene, and he's the one who actually shot video of the video. And the defense has raised issues saying that it looks as if it's been sped up, and that maybe this raises some sort of issues as to the credibility of the video, perhaps seeking to get the court to toss the video altogether on the basis that it's not an accurate, fair and accurate depiction of what happened. But so the state brought in this expert witness trying to establish that it does fairly and accurately depict what happened. During the cross-examination, after he came forward and walked through on direct, that why it is that the video seems to jump from this spot to that spot. And he explained how it's a motion-sensitive surveillance camera, meaning it's not always going to be operating. It only turns on when it detects that there's some level of motion. And there was talk about ghost images and whether the video skips at certain points. And he actually shared some interesting tidbit saying that the wall parts that are shown there, the parts that don't move, are static, meaning it always looks like that unless something interrupts it. It might not even be capturing what's happening in that very moment, which is very interesting. There was indication that perhaps Diddy threw the vase, which supposedly he had simply knocked over. That was relatively new. And on cross-examination, Tenny Garagos for the defense kept going through the video, like frame by frame, and a lot of people had questions about this. I want to share with you a thought about this from a legal perspective. You know, there's a famous incident.
All right, let's move forward.
So perhaps they're hopeful that they can get a ruling from the court to have this thing tossed on the lack of its reliability. If you don't have the
See, bro, not everybody's cut out to be a YouTuber, bro. I'll be honest with y'all. A lot of niggas are just not cut out for this shit, bro. Like,
second witness to come forward today is Bryana Bongolan.
Okay, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere here. Dude didn't even put timestamps.
Witness to come forward today is Bryana Bongolan, aka Bana. She is a friend who we've heard a lot of testimony about how Diddy didn't like her hanging out with Cassie, that he thought that they would do drugs together, and that at a certain stage in their relationship, looking around 2016 or so, that we've heard all sorts of indicators that Diddy was not happy about Cassie's drug use. And she testified that she did sometimes provide Cassie with drugs and Cassie would pay for it, including Oxycontin, cocaine, K, X, and an array of drugs. But there's some interesting stories.
Hola, brother. I made some merch concepts with the squad and sent them to you on X. Check them out and let me know if anything needs to be altered. Thanks for all the wisdom. Brett is handling all the merch, guys. That's not really me, but merch is coming soon. I got a couple designs.
Stories that have come out already this morning that we had never heard before. One incident that Bana relayed is that she was at Cassie's house, which she said she was at frequently. She would frequently sleep there, either on the couch or on the balcony or in Cassie's room. And she said one time there was a pounding on the door and that Diddy came in and he took a knife and threw it at Cassie. And he said, she thought it came close to Cassie, and the state asked Bono, how did Cassie respond? And she said she picked up the knife and threw it back at him. This is something we had never heard before, but obviously that is displaying certainly a reckless disregard, one would think, for basic safety. The second story we heard about that we had never heard is Bana testified that she was she was on the beach with Cassie and Diddy was there, and that he came up to her and spoke close to her in her face and said that I am your devil and I can kill you.
Oh man.
And she said that it freaked her out, it terrified her. But she was,
I am your devil and I can kill you? Bruh.
Asked, why did you continue to hang out with Diddy after that? And she said, I don't know.
Clout, stupid females. Stupid. Usual.
Why did you continue to hang out with Cassie after that? I don't know. Now, her testimony seems like someone who is somewhat affected in the sense that she talks softly, she talks like someone who has suffered through some trauma. I am not speculating. There's been no talk that trauma has come at the hands of the defendant or from other things in her life, so I'm certainly not speculating about that. But I just wanted to convey to you the feeling that she gives when she's testifying, that her voice sounds very soft. A lot of the questions seem borderline leading, if not really leading, in order to try to elicit her testimony. And her testimony began, the opening statement that she made when she was asked, state your name. Do you know Diddy? Yes. How do you know Diddy? He tried hanging me. He hanged me over the 17th floor of a balcony window. That's how her testimony started. Now, we had heard talk in opening statements that
And we heard this from a couple of other people as well. And the thing also that's interesting is like a lot of these people have lawsuits out there. So that's how we've heard a lot of this information prior to the trial. Crazy stuff, man.
Diddy had dangled a woman off the balcony of a window, and there was some testimony from Cassie and a third party. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Deontay, but I'm not sure. I don't recall precisely about the Bryana on the balcony with Diddy incident. But the Cassie wasn't there when it happened.
Hey guys, we only got 859 likes. Let's get to 1,000, my ninja. Smash that like button. Okay, let's get to 1,000.
No one seemed to have been there aside from Bryana, so we're going to have to hear from her. And the question is how much credibility she's going to have.
She is a drug user, so that's going to be tough.
Admits to doing a lot of drugs. She admits that she was on cocaine when Diddy gave her purportedly made that threat that he could kill her. So the question of her credibility is something that we certainly should foresee the defense is going to try and attack. Because she's...
Oh, yeah, they definitely are. They're 100% about to cook her on that. Oh, really? This happened? Okay, tell me, were you high when this happened? So, yeah.
Seems as if she has done a lot of drugs. She's admitted that she's done a lot of drugs. And even on the stand, she seems very soft and almost a little bit lost. So it'll be interesting to see how the defense attacks, but one would expect that they're going to attack the reliability of her memory given the volume of drugs that she's admitted to having consumed. That's what I've got to you so far. I'm really
all right, so let's see if what the afternoon testimony was. All right, let's go back to Law and Crime Network real quick. If there's anything else. Yeah, this is a screaming woman. Let's see. All right, let's go real quick. Portnoy, apparently this happened earlier today. I want to watch this argument. Portnoy got pissed off with some of these guys. Let's go ahead and go into this, and then we'll cover the big, beautiful bill after this.
I think right now you probably
nothing.
Don't do
nothing. Silence everything.
What do you?
Every comedian, don't tell a joke about it because, Dave, that's how the world works. I agree with you.
Go back to your question. When does freedom of speech impinge?
That was your
on freedom
question,
of
not
religion?
mine. That was your question.
Answer it.
How many deaths?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer.
Like how in America, American citizens.
What's your answer to that question?
Now.
We're there.
Now.
So now what? So now what do we do?
So maybe you stop with the fucking Jew jokes and act like it's not a big deal when someone does fuck the Jews in a bar.
Or,
bro, this guy's such a bitch.
No, here's the thing.
Bro, Dave Portnoy is such an unlikable fucking scumbag, dude. Like the dude is literally just like, bro, you eat pizza, man. Like you're a pizza taster, bro. You're like a typical fucking, frat bro, pizza eating, weed smoking, alcoholic, degenerate fucking loser, man. Like, bruh, like nobody watches Barstool Sports anymore, man. These guys haven't been popping since like the early 2010s, 2013. That's like when they were at their peak, right? But like this guy, bro, and the crazy part is like he signed with Rumble. He he did a partnership deal with Rumble. And it's like, bro, you're over here crying about freedom of speech? Like, or you're trying to impeach on freedom of speech because it offends you because they're making fun of them boys? Like, bro, that makes zero sense. That makes zero sense why he's so fucking sensitive.
I'm with you 1,000%.
Bro, people shit on Muslims every fucking day. You don't see me going crazy.
No. You should have fucking kicked those people out. Of course you should.
I'm not talking about kicking them out. I'm talking about.
You want to go to jail? Like, what do you want? Like, those guys.
You are defending this guy Mick for what he said right after that happened. He's not anti-Semitic.
I'm not defending him. No,
your brain goes in.
Look at this fucking guy. He's anti-Semitic.
I'm not defending him, Dave. What I'm saying is you should have him on here or somebody else like that and fucking fight with them because then you have a conversation.
That's what this idiot wants.
Dave, these guys that wrote the thing at the bar, fuck the Jews, right?
Yes.
You're going to fucking fly them to Auschwitz. Some guy tweets at you something. You want to fucking... He's not. You can't come
it was a bar I owned. It was a bar I owned.
They should have been kicked out. So, but my thing...
Yeah, kick him out. Don't let him back in. But for you to go ahead and make like a whole big post about it and put the kid on blast... Bro, the kid that he put on blast... And give me one sec, Chuck. Give me one sec. All right. I had to get some protein chips, ninjas, and some blueberries. Well, watch this thing and then I'll break it down.
No, it's not just kick out Kirk. Are you ignoring what's going on in the world?
No,
right
I'm
now?
not. What, Dave? What do you want to do to those guys? What do you want to
think
do?
it's related?
What do you want to do with those guys in the bar? Put them in jail for 50 years?
Kirk,
Fine. I don't care.
I didn't
They're
say that.
assholes.
You're quite literally changing everything you say, Kirk. If you just want me to kick him out, not mention it, not care that this kid
Not at all.
is
Not at all.
shut
Not at all.
up. If you just want me to ignore it,
Don't tell me to shut up. Don't tell me.
shut the fuck up, you bald fuck.
Okay, go ahead.
How's that?
Oh, it's kill. I'll never recover from that, Dave. Go ahead, continue. I'll never recover.
Well, bro, and this is one of his employees, bro. Look at how he's treating his guy on air in front of everybody. Like, this all started, guys, going back in time a little bit. This is what happened. Some college kids are at a bar celebrating a birthday in Philadelphia. A couple of the kids pitch in and get a bottle. And when they get the bottle, you know how the bottle girls bring out the little sign and they're, putting it up and down and shit like this? The sign said, fuck the Jews. A Twitter account called Stop Anti-Semitism tags Dave Portnoy and says, hey, are you aware that this sign was at your bar? Portnoy makes a video fuming, saying that he's going to find out everyone that was involved and go after them. So he finds out the two bottle girls that were responsible for bringing out the thing, fires them. He finds out who the people were that bought the fucking bottle, contacts them. Then one of the kids he put on blast, right? And put his real name out there and shit. The kid that he put out there, he did not buy the bottle. He simply recorded it for his Instagram story. And that Instagram story is one went viral that Stop Anti-Semitism posted and gave to Dave. So the kid posted a story because he was in the section. Stop Anti-Semitism gets that clip, puts it on Twitter, tags Dave Portnoy. Portnoy sees a video. He gets angry over a joke saying fuck the Jews with a bottle sign that this kid didn't pay for. Kid's life gets ruined. He's a college student at Temple. Gets suspended from the school, loses internship. Portnoy says, oh, you got to go to the Holocaust Museum, or you got to go to Auschwitz, excuse me. You got to go to Auschwitz. And he says that him and Robert Kraft are going to pay for it. If you don't know who Robert Kraft is, yeah, one of them. Also owner of the Patriots. Also got caught in a fucking sex trafficking ring. But that's a whole other conversation. He was at like some fucking rub and tug spot. Old pervert. But anyway, he says we're going to go ahead and send you to Auschwitz. They agree to be sent to Auschwitz in exchange for him not destroying the kid's life. Damage is already done. He's like, fuck it, I'm not going to go to Auschwitz anymore, etc. Then he tastes, he's in Canada eating pizza, and somebody drives by and says, fuck the Jews, right? To piss him off because he made such a big fucking spectacle of this shit. And he gets all irate, and there's like kids in the back recording him as he's eating the pizza, and they say, fuck the Jews, and he's like, what, is that fucking funny? And he gets all fucking mad. Now, he's running this broadcast with guys that work for him, it seems. And even his coworkers like, bro, you're kind of taking this shit a little too seriously, bro. You know what I mean? You want him to go to jail, whatever, like just kick him out your bar. It is what it is. And that's where this argument comes from. Give me what's in the chat. The lore makes sense now. And you guys understand where the fuck this conversation, how this conversation started like this. This idiot, Viejo Santos Myron, you need more than protein chips, dude? Shut the fuck up, bro. That's why you're a fat ass. I guarantee your fucking stomach is like a pitcher's mound, you bitch ass nigga. You sitting here probably eating a taco right now as we speak, Santos. Can't even do a pull-up trying to tell me what to eat. Shut the fuck up. All right, let's keep going.
Well, you're the one who like, oh, big boss man, don't tell. I'll tell you, you work for me.
Okay, go ahead.
You
Continue.
little bitch. You work for me.
Sure.
Wow. Let's rewind this a little bit.
I tweeted you something. You want to fucking... He's not...
Kirk,
you can't come on
it
here
was
for
a bar
5
I
minutes?
owned. It was a bar I
They
owned.
should have been kicked out.
And that's why he was mad. Because he owned the bar.
So, but my thing is...
No,
like,
it's not just kick out, Kirk. Are you ignoring what's going on in the world
No,
right
I'm
now?
not. What, Dave, what do you want to do with those guys? What do you want to
think
do?
it's
What do you want to
related?
do with those guys in the
Kirk,
bar? Put them in
Kirk,
jail for
Kirk,
50 years?
Kirk.
Fine. I don't
I
care.
didn't
They're
say that.
assholes.
You're quite literally changing everything you say, Kirk. If you just want me to kick him out, not mention it, not care that this kid
Not at
is
all.
anti-Semitic,
Not at all.
shut
Not at all.
up. If you just want me to ignore it,
Don't tell me to shut up. Don't tell me.
shut the fuck up, you bald fuck.
Okay, go ahead.
How's that?
Oh, it's kill. I'll never recover from that, Dave. Go ahead, continue. I'll never recover.
Well, you're the one who big boss man, don't tell. I'll tell you work for me.
Okay, go ahead,
You
continue.
little bitch. You work for me.
Sure, you bet. For now.
Wow.
Oh, you
Continue.
don't? For now, quit. I don't
Well,
care. I'll
is
take 500 grand.
this a show or not a show? Like, is it a show or not a show? Like, we can't have a conversation?
You're an idiot.
Okay, continue.
You're literally saying people should be allowed to make Jew jokes, say whatever they want right fucking now. That's
Yes,
what
I
you're
think
saying.
people should be allowed to make jokes.
So how many motherfucking Jews have to be killed before you stop?
That everybody, I don't think.
What else? Where else is that happening with the religion or people?
I don't think those psychopaths. I'm with you. There's
Bro, how many fucking Muslims get killed every day, bro? How many times have we bombed Yemen? How many times have we given aid to countries that are killing Muslims all the fucking time? We still make Muslim jokes all day. Bro, this is just fucking crazy unawareness. Dave Portnoy, just so you guys know, is stupid. Bro said that I'm going to send him to Auschwitz. He didn't even know it was in Poland. He said he thought it was in Germany. Well, this guy's a retard, bro.
scumbags are the worst people on the earth. Should that?
You don't think it's all related?
But Dave, you're telling a comedian not to make a joke?
It's not a comedian.
I'm with you. But you said stop all jokes.
Jew jokes of that nature now.
We'll ban Jew jokes of that nature. We'll get the Constitution. We'll get Congress and stop Jew jokes of that nature.
I'll go back to this.
Yeah.
When does freedom of speech impinge on freedom of religion?
I don't think freedom of speech should. I think freedom of speech is the most important thing in this country.
Okay, so people can go kill the Jews, and there's no responsibility if someone goes and kills Jews.
No, that's a crime if you kill somebody.
No, but not saying, hey.
What did I fucking tell you guys? I told you the Colorado attack. I told you the embassy attack. I told you that they were going to use this shit to justify censorship. Look at Dave Portnoy right now. What is he doing? He is trying to justify and rationalize censorship against jokes. Once they start going after the comedians, it's all fucking downhill from there, chat. I'm telling y'all, I called this shit when it first happened. I'm telling you guys, they are going to use all of these attacks to rationalize and justify censorship of speech under the guise of anti-Semitism prevention. That's where we're going. You got guys like this, literally, that are members on Rumble, right, which stands for free speech, calling for mass censorship because it hurts their feelings. When I tell you guys that the concept of censorship in America is controlled by them boys, I mean that shit. And guys like Dave Portnoy, they're showing their real face. I want censorship. Can't take jokes. People are dying. Shut the fuck up, bro. People are dying every day. You can't sit there and say, oh, the reason why Group A is dying is because of jokes B. No, bro. Whether jokes are made or not doesn't change anything. Those extremists that are going to commit acts of violence, they're going to commit those acts regardless of what the fuck is going on. Instead, what we should be doing is trying to get Israel to stop killing innocent kids, and then they might not get the negative fucking reputation that they got. Israel did this to itself. Again, I don't think that innocent Israelis should be hurt because of what their government is doing. Because unlike the Zionists, I appreciate all life. However, I do think it takes a little bit of reflection to understand that Israel's currently doing a genocide and killing children every single day. And everyone reacts differently when they see dead kids on their phone. Some people look at it like me and analyze it strategically and identify where the problems are and talk about it in a way where you guys can kind of understand. Right? And talk about the conflict, how we got here, etc. Other people might not be as analytical as me. Other people might not be as pragmatic as me. Other people might get emotional and get angry and do some stupid shit, as we've seen with some of these fucking radical leftists. Because leftists in general push for violence and they're idiots and they can't control their emotions. But Portnoy needs to understand that this environment, this situation that we have going on right now, this rise in anti-Semitism, as him and Jonathan Greenblatt and all these other idiots want to cry about on the internet, this is a direct result based on the actions of the Israeli government. We have to be able to identify the problem to solve the problem. The Israeli government is committing war crimes as we speak. The mass starvation, elimination, and destruction of an area that houses 2 million plus people, where 50% of the population are children. Guess what? People are not going to like that, Dave. And you're so much of an idiot that you don't even understand the conflict. You don't know anything about what's going on in Palestine. You don't know anything about Gaza. You can't even you probably can't even put Gaza out on a map, if I'm going to be honest. You don't understand the conflict. So, the first step to dealing with this rise in anti-Semitism, as they say, is we got to go at the problem directly. And the problem is the mass extermination of innocent people in Gaza. That is why everyone is mad. That is why the international community condemns Israel. That is why college students are protesting all across the country. This is why governments all across the world are condemning Benjamin Netanyahu's actions. This is why the ICC issued an arrest warrant for Israel. They don't want to take accountability. That's the problem. They don't want to take accountability. They want to write everything off as fucking self-defense. So we're quickly getting to a position here where these Zionists are going to push and advocate for more censorship. Jonathan Greenblatt was just on CNN yesterday talking about censorship. I'll pull the video up for you guys here.
Hey, go kill Jews.
That's different. No. What do you mean?
You can say somebody should go kill Jews. You don't do it, but someone hears you and goes do it. You're fine with that?
Nobody said that, though. Why is Portnoy fucking mischaracterizing fucking quotes, man? Always taking it to the extreme.
If somebody says, go kill Jews?
Yes.
No, that's different than telling. I thought we were talking about telling.
Yeah, bro. Obviously, everyone is fucking against saying stupid shit like that. But again, they always make it extreme, bro. Every time.
A joke. I thought we were talking about comedians.
They are all using semantics for anti-Semitism right now. And I can tell the difference because for 20 years of doing it, I've never mentioned it, Kirk.
No, and I said to you when this thing happened a couple
how
weeks ago,
can you not realize we're in a different time right now?
I completely realize, and I'm sensitive to the fact that you're sensitive, and I feel bad.
No, you're not. You don't get it.
That's not true. I am.
Such a fucking bitch, man. Such a fucking bitch, man. Dave Portnoy really is a fucking scumbag, dude. Dude is such a fucking pussy. Look at how he's treating his fucking employees over jokes, man. Over jokes, bro. Incredible. All right, so this tweet right here, right? I'll show you guys kind of what's going on here. Let's finish playing this clip with Portnoy, and then I'll show you the next clip.
Sensitive to it. What I'm saying is, it's a fine line. I think you would agree. I think you would agree. So maybe you don't. That when you start harnessing free speech and what can be said and what can't be said,
I'm not saying throw any of these people in jail. You want me to give this kid a pass?
No. If you want, no. What I would like you to do, in my mind, this is why I pitched it to the producers, and you disagreed, and you are the boss. Like I said to you yesterday, it's your dime. You own the company. I thought it would be interesting to have somebody on who you disagree with, who I think at the end you wouldn't disagree with that much, have a conversation, which is what I thought you were trying to do. Hold on one second. Which I thought you were trying to do with bringing these guys to Auschwitz, trying to have a conversation. So you put a name in the face of somebody you disagree with and have an actual conversation.
So let's go to Dom. ADL CEO Jonathan Greenblatt calls for strict censorship on X, Instagram, and TikTok, saying anti-Semites must be removed once and for all. Here's a clip. This guy is the face of censorship in the United States of America, guys. This guy right here. Take a good look. Jonathan Greenblatt is a fucking scumbag. Scumbag. He's head of the ADL, Anti-Defamation League, which was created to protect a pedophile rapist named Leo Frank after he killed an innocent little girl in a pencil factory and raped her. That's what the ADL was created for. It's created to defend a pedophile. Let's see what this dumbass has got to say. Here he is on CNN.
Speakers spreading blood libels in an environment where you have social media influencers making baseless claims, people like Hassan Piker over on Twitch, or there's others on TikTok and Instagram saying wild, baseless things about Jews, about Zionists, about Israelis. Vlad, I worry that this could even get worse. So I think we really need tech platforms to step up and stop, lifting up these intemperate voices. We need elected officials to speak out. We need people from all walks of life to stand with their Jewish friends and neighbors today, maybe show up for their own walk next weekend and say we won't be intimidated by the bigots.
Because I look at social media now and many of these platforms, I mean, the dominant characteristic that I see is what you're describing, anti-Semitism, racism, misogyny, and the spread of
Oh, interesting. I wonder who he's been watching. Not me, though, of course.
Information. So how to combat that? What is the ADL doing? I mean, are you having conversations with the leaders of these companies to at least try to remove that nefarious content from their platforms?
Yeah, Vlad, we've talked about this before over the years. I think social media is a super spreader, as you said, of anti-Semitism and racism and all kinds of hate. Unfortunately, companies like X and Meta have retreated from content moderation in recent months, introducing these community notes.
Yeah, because that's a lot better. Nobody wants censorship, bro. Nobody wants fucking censorship, man. Like, it's always you fucking losers that call for censorship, man.
Which is by no means a panacea. I mean, Vlad, it's a little crazy that the most sophisticated, profitable companies on the planet Earth are outsourcing content moderation to the users. So, yeah, we are seeing a rampant, just explosion of hate. We are not only talking to the companies themselves, we're talking to the regulators.
And just so you guys know, Jonathan Greenblatt is responsible for getting TikTok banned back in earlier this year. And Trump kept it from being banned for 24 hours. If you guys remember, this guy right here was one of the biggest lobbyists to get TikTok banned.
I mean, I think it is time for government to step up here. These companies are, they say too big to fail. These companies are too big to just leave alone. I mean, they're almost monopolistic. And again, they allow for this unmitigated rise of the kind of hate that explodes in real life, just like you're seeing on the screen. So, yeah, it is time for these companies to demonstrate the same kind of accountability that we see in other media businesses and simply, knock the Nazis, knock the anti-Zionists off the platform once and for all.
Get the fuck out of here, man. Look, let's go ahead and do a quick little deep dive on the ADL, okay? ADL, right? So here we go. This is the ADL, right? I'm about to wake you guys up right now to how fucking censorship works in America. The Anti-Defamation League, formerly known as Anti-Defamation League of BIII Birth, is a New York-based international non-governmental organization that was founded to combat anti-Semitism as well as form bigotry and discrimination, right? He's the current CEO. Now, when was it formed? Let's see here. It was created... Are they not going to talk about? Okay, September 1913, right? Now, it was created to protect this guy, Leo Frank, okay? Was an American lynching victim convicted in 1913 of the murder of 13-year-old Mary Fagan, an employee in a factory in Atlanta, Georgia, where he was the superintendent. Frank's trial, conviction, and unsuccessful appeals attracted national attention. His kidnapping from the prison and lynching became the focus of social, regional, political, and racial concerns, particularly regarding anti-Semitism. Modern researchers generally agree that Frank was wrongly convicted. Yeah, okay, bro. Basically, this guy was one of them boys, right? And he was tried and convicted for killing and raping a little girl, Mary Fagan, okay? That's why the ADL was created, to basically support this fucking guy, right? That's what the ADL is. Chat. That's the dark history of this piece of shit parasitic organization that is trying to take your rights away of freedom of speech. Because that's what the ADL does, right? They go after people that are critical of Israel, people that are critical of them boys and their power and American influence, and they label everything as evil anti-Semitism, right? So this is the problem. You got guys like Dave Portnoy and now Jonathan Greenblatt pushing for mass censorship on social media platforms because their feelings. Once they start going after the comedians, it's a rap, chat. It's a wrap. That's where we are right now. That's where we are. This is why I'm so big on when I tell you guys, don't fucking condone violence. Because whenever these fucking radical leftists or anybody conducts acts of violence, guess what? It justifies their position more. We're not going to win this with violence, guys. We're going to win this with ideas, with discourse, with debate. Look, they're already scared. They're already terrified. Oh, well, you need to censor everybody. You don't need violence if you got the truth on your side. And if you do commit acts of violence, all you do is prop up these dickheads to justify more censorship. When the Colorado attack happened, when the embassy attack happened, all these idiots went to mainstream television saying, we need more censorship. We need more censorship. Benjamin Netanyahu puts out a fucking address. Anti-Semitism is on the rise. Israel must defend itself. This is why we are warring against Hamas. They are using it to fit their political agendas. Do you not see that, chat? Do you not see that? So anyone that advocates for violence against the Jewish people needs to be completely ostracized. Don't talk to that individual. Don't deal with that individual whatsoever. Because they're actually doing what the Zionists want, which is to impede on your freedom of speech. We know that they practice the Hannibal Directive. We know that the Israeli government doesn't give a fuck about its people. We know that they killed a bunch of them on October 7th. We know that the Apache helicopters shot the concert goers. We know that the tanks were shooting into the kibbutzes. They don't care about their people. They don't care about any life, really. They care about Israeli life a little bit, and then they care about Palestinian life even less than that. But if it could help them fit their agenda to push mass censorship, to justify wars across the Middle East, to justify hegemony in the Middle East, under the guise of self-defense, any type of domestic action that occurs in the United States, whether it be a terrorist attack, a shooting, any of this stuff, is what they want. How do you guys think we ended up becoming a police state like we are now? America entered the surveillance state after 9/11. The United States government had information that Osama bin Laden was going to attack the United States for years. They had been watching him since the 90s. And they had sent warnings to the White House all 2001, saying that attacks were imminent and that they might use planes. They couldn't give a date or a time, but they knew that it was coming. Well, what ended up happening after 9/11? The Patriot Act was ushered in. We were able to start collecting information on U.S. citizens. The Department of Homeland Security was created. We launched the war into Iraq and war on terrorism and invaded the Middle East. So, terrorism, attacks against innocent people, it's almost always weaponized by higher level powers to justify and rationalize putting in new procedures or laws. And right now, with the embassy shootings, with the Colorado attacker, or anything else that comes after this, it is going to be used to rationalize censorship and encroaching upon your First Amendment right to free speech. That's what's happening, chat. That's what's happening. Even a retard like Dave Portnoy, who doesn't understand the law whatsoever, doesn't understand this conflict in the Middle East, is over here speaking up. So, hey, man. Don't say I didn't warn you. Let's see here. We got, like Myron said, it's only free speech when it benefits them. Fuck these herbs. Myron, you have an Amazon basket so we can buy Frank some treats? I don't have an Amazon basket. Let's see here. Unforgiven says, the only thing worse than freedom to the guilty is killing the innocent and leaving your soul filthy. Mark, can we host this raid Portnoy stream? I think he's asking us to. Nah. Yeah, fuck Dave Portnoy. All right. Alboy says, this guy's a maggot. Jonathan Green, whatever. D. Almeida says, W. Myron, W. Frank, W. Katz. You and Frank are my favorite racist Sudanese American influencer. Okay. For real, I really admire you and your work. Frank needs a sibling. Get Angie to look up Scottish fold cats. They're cute, friendly, and great temperament. Alboy said, a lot of people are awake now. All I see on IG Reels now are super base stuff regarding them boys, mustache man, sexual dynamics, and female nature. And all the comments on the vids are agreeing. We can only hope it's too late to censor them now. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we got the truth on our side, chat. There's no need to do anything. We don't need violence. You don't need violence when you got the truth on your side. We can change the public perception with our voices. We protest, we boycott, we make content, we bring awareness to people, we promote documentaries that tell the truth. That's all we got to do, man. Use our voice. Okay, so let's go into the big, beautiful bill. All right, so real quick, as you guys know, Donald Trump is working on this, the one big, beautiful bill. And it's a comprehensive package of legislation passed by the House of Representatives in May 2025, encompassing various provisions, including tax cuts, border security measures, and cuts to the Medicaid program. It seeks to extend and expand the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, adds new tax deductions, and allocates funding for border security, and includes provisions for Medicaid reform. Okay, here's a more detailed breakdown. So tax provisions, the bill makes permanent the 2017 tax cuts, which include lower individual and corporate tax rates, increased standard deductions, and other changes. Now, let's be honest here, guys. We all know, right? Republicans always have corporation tax cuts. And I know some of you guys are going to say, why the fuck are they going and giving tax cuts to the corporations? The reason why, guys, is the philosophy from the Republican side, and this is what they always vote on this, right? The philosophy is, with corporate tax cuts, you allow the company to get larger profit margins. Larger profit margins means that they're going to invest back into the business, right? And hire more people, right? It's more of a trickle-down effect, which I do agree with to some degree, right? It helps with forging jobs. Now, a lot of Democrats would disagree with this concept, but, you know, it is what it is. It includes provisions for no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, creating no new individual tax income deductions for qualified tips and overtime pay. It's also increasing funding for border security, right? And then Medicaid reform. So let's go ahead. This video does a really good job of explaining it, because I know some of you guys might not be too familiar with how, you know, passing bills works in America. So let's watch this little video for you guys, and we'll, you know, give some commentary.
Right now. And it's all about whether President Trump's big, beautiful bill will pass. The House of Representatives already approved.
And also, just so you guys know, Elon Musk is not happy with this bill, because it's going to increase the debt. It's going to increase the deficit. And what Elon Musk came in with Doge, his job was to create, was to save money, right? The Department of Government Efficiency. His job was literally come in there and save money for the government. But this bill is going to kind of undo a lot of the shit that he did with Doge. So Elon Musk has not been happy about this whatsoever. And I'll show you guys real quick one of his posts on this shit. Right? Let me show you guys real fast. Here he is. Look, 3.7 trillion, that's how much our leaders forecast the reconciliation bill will cost. 10% of national debt in one bill. Our government is out of control. See, insane. See how he's reposting all this shit when it comes to bills? Thomas Massey. So all the Republicans voted on this, by the way. And like Thomas Massey and like two other Republicans did not vote for this bill. But the big, beautiful bill is a debt bomb ticking. It's also the biggest missed opportunity conservatives have ever had to put our country back on track of fiscal sanity. If we defeat this bill, a better one can be offered. So, X filed a federal lawsuit against individuals for attempting to abuse X create a revenue sharing program by posting inauthentic content and fake engagement metrics. What the fuck? Okay, whatever. Look, this spending bill contains the largest increase in the debt ceiling in U.S. history. Look, that was 27 minutes ago. So Musk is not happy, chat. He's been complaining about this fucking bill all day, right? Kill the bill. Bankrupt America is not okay. Literally. And guys, he just resigned, or he just left the White House. So this is a 180-degree turn from what he was doing before. So he is not happy whatsoever. I think a bill can be bigger and beautiful. I don't think if it could be both, right? So Mankiel Yilmaz is the greatest free speech warrior in the modern world. That's not true. Megyn Kelly's a retard. Elon Musk has become so important to expand the national debate. Okay, so of course he's gonna post this thing of this
left because he sends out strange tweets sometimes, and so who cares? This guy is the greatest free speech warrior that we have in the modern day world because of.
No, that goes to Chris Pavlovsky, the owner of Rumble, not Elon Musk. But anyway, you guys can see here, he's not happy with this bill. His whole fucking page has been about this bill. All right, I think you guys get the idea.
Proved it, but now it's in the Senate, and that's where things are getting tricky. Republicans have a small edge in the Senate.
And they're going to lose the Senate soon, in midterms probably. I'm almost certain they're going to lose it.
With 50,
so they will not have that majority soon.
3 seats out of 100. That means they can't afford to lose more than 3 votes from their own party. If they do, the bill fails, and no Democrats are expected to support it. The challenge? Republicans themselves are divided. Some think the bill cuts...
Guys, we got 3,000 plus you guys in here, 4,300 between everything, guys. Do me a favor, smash that like button. We're live on Rumble, Castle Club, etc. Do me a solid, like the video, guys. Let's get to 2,000 likes.
Too much, especially from health programs like Medicaid, while others argue it doesn't go far enough. A few have even floated future cuts to Social Security as part of broader spending reforms. That's creating real tension, since many Americans view Social Security as off-limits. So let's break it down. What's actually in the bill? What's being debated? And how could it affect your benefits? Let's take a closer look at the key proposals and the high-stakes fight unfolding in the Senate. One of the first issues causing real disagreement among Republicans is Social Security. While President Trump has pledged not to cut Social Security benefits, this bill falls short of earlier promises to eliminate taxes on Social Security income. Instead, it introduces a $4,000 standard deduction for seniors 65 and older, but only if you make less than $75,000 as an individual or $150,000 as a couple. That's meant to lower how much of your income is taxed. And for many seniors, every bit of relief helps. But this deduction is temporary and set to expire in 2028. Still, many seniors were hoping for more, especially the full repeal of taxes on Social Security benefits. Some lawmakers, like Senator Ron Johnson, have even proposed reclassifying Social Security as discretionary spending, meaning it would need to be voted on each year, a move that could threaten the stability of the program. A lot of people feel like they're being taxed twice, once when they earn the money and again when they retire. The failure to fix this issue is frustrating for many, and some lawmakers have said they want to revisit it later. This internal split has made it hard for Republicans to agree on how far to go. Some say the bill should do more for seniors, while others are worried about the rising national debt. And then there's Medicaid, another major sticking point. If you or someone in your family uses Medicaid, here's what you need to know.
And a lot of Americans use it. A lot.
The bill proposes new work requirements for certain adults to qualify. It also freezes provider taxes that many states use to help fund Medicaid, especially rural states. That means some states could lose critical funding, making it harder to keep local clinics and small-town hospitals open. In some areas, seniors could be forced to travel further just to access basic care, which adds both time and cost, something that's not always easy for those living on fixed incomes or with mobility issues. Senators like Susan Collins from Maine and Lisa Murkowski from Alaska are speaking out. They're worried that seniors and rural residents would be hit the hardest. When healthcare access is already limited, even small funding changes can have big effects: fewer doctors, longer travel, or higher costs. In states with large rural populations, this could quickly turn into a crisis of
Yeah, we don't got universal health care in the United States, guys, so this is a big deal for a lot of people.
Access, where seniors are unable to get timely checkups, treatments, or medication support. And then there's the idea of new copays for Medicaid users. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri calls it a sick tax. He says that asking people who are already sick or poor to pay more just to see a doctor isn't fair. And for many seniors on a fixed income, even $5 or $10 extra could mean skipping a visit or prescription. This change could discourage preventive care, leading to worse health outcomes and higher costs down the road.
And, this actually does bring a lot of, questions out there. A lot of people on the left, which to be honest with you guys, I do understand their argument with this. One of the things that the left and the progressives and the Democrats always complain about is how we have a for-profit care system, healthcare system. And obviously, when you make anything for-profit, ethics tend to go out the window, right? It starts becoming... you're basically using capitalism in a sector that shouldn't be involved with capitalism, to some people's opinion, right? When you are creating for-profit medical systems, what ends up happening is this is why insurance claims get denied. This is why you got people like Luigi Mangione going crazy because they oppose the healthcare system the way that we have it here, because it's in their best interest to deny people care so that they can save money, right? Like I said before, these companies have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to be profitable. So United Healthcare, right? So what happened? Actually, a funny story for you guys, right? So after Luigi Mangione did what he did, right, and executed the CEO of, I think, United Healthcare, if I'm not mistaken, United Healthcare started to approve more claims, stop denying as many, right? And the investors complained and said, no, you guys need to start denying more of these claims so that the stock goes up and we're able to get more money. And, this is kind of something where you guys know I make fun of liberals and progressives all the time. But this is one of their arguments and one of their stances that I would actually argue is stronger than other things, right? The cultural stuff, like, all this other bullshit, that's lame. Who cares about that? When it comes to the LGBT and alphabet community and pronouns, all that other shit, that stuff is loony. But I can see their argument when it comes to the for-profit healthcare system that we have. I see the capitalism side, but I also see how that can create problems. And obviously, Medicaid is one of the only ways that a lot of these people are able to get any type of aid. So whenever you cut into that, it creates problems for a lot of people. So, but yeah, I forgot to tell you guys this, but yeah, United Healthcare, the investors really started complaining, saying like, yo, you need to start denying more claims, because after the whole Mangione event, they started approving more claims with an enormous amount of pressure, and it brought awareness to the issues going on in our healthcare system in America. However, like I said before, you guys know me when it comes to, like, bro, you shoot the CEO, someone else is going to step in and just keep doing the same shit. Yeah, you got some temporary claims approved, but dude, again, this is why violence doesn't solve anything, man. It just doesn't.
Beyond healthcare and taxes, the bill would also raise the debt ceiling, which is basically the country's borrowing limit. Senator Rand Paul and others say they won't vote for that unless Congress also agrees to slash federal spending back to 2019 levels. That's a big ask. It would mean cuts across the board, including programs that help seniors and veterans. Programs like housing support, transportation assistance, and nutritional programs such as Meals on Wheels could see funding reductions if these spending targets are enforced. So right now, you've got moderates like Murkowski and Collins saying the bill cuts too much, and hardliners like Rand Paul saying it doesn't cut enough. And with only 53 Republicans in the Senate, they need almost every single one to...
And also, guys, this is probably going to be the biggest piece of legislation that Trump will be able to get through, because they're going to lose the House, bro. So, good luck with getting anything fucking passed later on. So this is probably going to be one of the most significant bills that Trump gets across, and there's a reason why he's doing it now.
Say yes. This creates a fragile balancing act where every vote counts, and just one or two defections could send the entire...
And we know Thomas Massie, who's obviously a Republican, he voted against it. So that's already one down that we know that didn't vote for it.
Package back to the drawing board. And here's the kicker. Even if the Senate passes the bill, it doesn't go straight to the president. It has to go back to the House of Representatives. If the Senate makes too many changes, the House might not agree, and the whole thing could collapse.
Yeah, that's the bureaucracy of the United States, chat. Checks and balances are fantastic, but they obviously impede the speed of bills. But I'll tell you guys something. You guys want to know what bills never get fucking stopped? Yeah, those bills for that certain state in the Middle East never get opposed. Always get bipartisan support.
That would mean more delays, more
They will go ahead and pass a bill to give Israel money over giving support to American citizens. Let that sink in, chat. Say that one more time for you guys. When it comes to bills for our greatest ally, those get passed with no objections. Bipartisan support, right through, bam, signed. No issue. But when it comes to bills that deal with American citizens and spending, we could change this a little bit, we could change that, too much money, not enough money. What does that tell you? And then people get mad when I say that we don't run America.
Certainty and potentially another fight just to keep the government funded. So what happens if it fails? The U.S. could hit the debt ceiling later this summer. That means the government might not have enough money to pay its bills. Social Security checks could be delayed. Veterans' benefits could be paused. And financial markets could get rocky, which could hurt retirement accounts. If markets drop suddenly, many seniors relying on 401k or pensions might see their nest eggs take a hit. This isn't just a Washington issue. It's a real concern for anyone trying to live on what they've worked for their whole lives. We've seen this kind of fear before. Back in April 2025, financial markets took a hit after Trump announced new tariffs on goods from China, Mexico, and the European Union. That single move sparked panic among investors, and many 401k and retirement accounts saw sudden losses. So when people hear that the government might not be able to pay its bills, they worry, and for good reason. Now, let's take a moment to clear up some confusion around Social Security.
Yeah, we're going to be paying interest only very soon, bruh.
And Medicare. Many people are wondering if this bill changes how much they'll receive from Social Security. It doesn't, at least not the monthly benefit amounts. But here's the catch. It could still impact how those benefits are taxed. If your income lands near the current tax thresholds, even small changes in deductions or rules could push more of your Social Security into taxable territory. That's frustrating for a lot of retirees who feel like they're being taxed twice. Once when they earn the money, and again when they receive it in retirement. And while this bill offers a new $4,000 deduction for some seniors, it doesn't fully fix the tax problem. It's one of those issues that keeps getting talked about, but never fully solved. And what about Medicare? A lot of people lump Medicare and Medicaid together, but they're different programs. This bill doesn't change Medicare benefits for now, but it's always worth watching, especially as lawmakers look for ways to trim spending. If they're already eyeing Medicaid for cuts, Medicare might not be far behind in future negotiations. So this is more than just another Washington debate. It's personal. If you're retired or close to it, this bill could affect your taxes, your health care, and your peace of mind.
All right, so here's some of the Republicans pushing back on the bill.
Unless we separate out the debt ceiling, to take the debt ceiling off the bill. I'm a no unless we separate out the debt ceiling, to take the debt ceiling off the bill. I'm pretty much a yes on most of the rest of the bill.
Let's live in reality for a second. We're running $2 trillion.
This is Rick Scott, a.k.a. Hassan Piker's best friend. Hassan Piker made a fucking comment suggesting the unaliving of this guy got banned from Twitch for one day, bro.
Dollar deficit.
I'm telling you guys, man, liberals get away with anything, dude.
If we follow the path of the House bill, we'll have close to, I think, $60 trillion worth of debt in 10 years. Okay? The American taxpayer has said they don't want to give us higher taxes. They don't like the taxes we have now.
I found a video for us, by the way, guys, on Diddy. So we will cover the day 16 of Diddy Trial as well.
They're not giving us more money. What we got to do is do what every family does. We got to go through every line in the budget.
And that is Senator Rand Paul on Capitol Hill and Senator Rick Scott with me on Mornings with Maria this week, voicing concern with President Trump's big, beautiful bill, already passed by the House, currently in the Senate, which the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget says will add roughly $3 trillion to the national debt, including interest over the next decade. Both senators saying they cannot vote for this bill in its current form. And this weekend at the Reagan National Economic Forum, I spoke with JP Morgan Chase Chairman and CEO Jamie Dimon, who told me interest rates will spike and markets will get disrupted once investors realize the impact of rising debt levels. Watch.
How much are you focused on debt and deficits right now?
it's a big deal. You know, it is a real problem, but one day we're going to have the bond market's going to have a tough time. I don't know if it's 6 months or 6 years.
What do you mean bond market will crack? What does that mean?
But the public has to understand is that something like $30 trillion of securities trades every day. These are investors around the world. Foreigners own $35 trillion of American securities. They have,
We're going to watch a little bit of this, guys. Then I got some breaking news. Trump did speak with President Putin earlier today. I'll pull this up and we'll talk about it.
Another 30 trillion private investments in the United States or something like that in the United States. People vote with their feet. And they're going to be looking at the country, the rule of law, the inflation rates, the central bank policies, what they want to hedge and what they don't want to hedge. And so those rates aren't set by central banks. They can affect them. If people decide that the U.S. dollar isn't the place to be, yeah, you could see, spreads gap out, credit spreads gap out, and that will become a problem. We had that during COVID. The Fed properly stepped in then. We had that in 2019. We had it in 20. It will happen again.
And the rest of that interview tomorrow morning on Fox Business, as my next guest is voicing a similar sentiment, calling for a return to pre-pandemic spending levels and looking to separate the president's agenda into two bills, with some of the president's campaign promises, such as no tax on tips, Social Security, and overtime, dealt with in a second bill later in the year. Joining me now in the Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, thanks so much for being here. Have you been able to identify more areas to cut?
Good morning, Maria. Well, first of all, let me say I'm a big supporter of President Trump. I know Rand Paul is. I know Rick Scott is. We all want to see him succeed. But at the same time, I sprang out of the Tea Party movement to, campaigning in 2010, doing parades, shouting, "This is a fight for freedom. We're mortgaging our children's future. It's wrong. It's immoral. It has to stop." We were $14 trillion in debt then. Now we're $37 trillion. And I think what has disappointed me about the debate that went through the House, if you even call it that, we weren't looking at the facts and figures. The only figure we ever heard about was $1.5 trillion. Sounds like a lot, but when you put it in context of the $89 trillion we're going to spend over the next 20 years, the $22 trillion in additional deficit we're going to incur, that's $2.2 trillion per year deficit. I mean, it's completely unsustainable. I agree with Jamie Dimon here. This is something we have to take a look at. So, again, from my standpoint, I want to see the president succeed. I want to take a tax increase, an automatic tax increase off the table as soon as possible. All this could have been done. The border funding, take an automatic tax increase off the table. I think we have to deal with the debt ceiling. But again, I don't want to just do $5 trillion. I'm happy to give the president increase the debt ceiling for 1 year so we can come back and get serious about returning to a pre-pandemic level spending, because right now, based on the House bill, it doesn't look like anybody is.
Well, I mean, Senator, with all due respect, I'm still not hearing any solutions. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but somebody at home who's critical of what you're saying might say, well, this is rich, given the fact that the House already identified $1.5 trillion in cuts, and all I heard from the Senate was $4 billion in cuts. I know that there's the Byrd rule, and that's technical, but still, what are the solutions? Again, have you identified any areas to cut?
Well, exactly like Rick Scott talked about, you go line by line. And again, I've laid out all the variances of how much we're spending today that exceeds 2019, plus up for population growth and inflation. So you literally have to go through a couple thousand lines of the federal budget, probably hundreds of lines beneath each one of those lines. You have to take the time and do it. Doe shows how to do it, contract by contract, line by line. Rick Scott did that as governor of Florida. He'd be great on a budget review panel. I proposed that. So again, this would be not an across the board as some basic percentage, but an across the board forensic audit of all government spending. You have to do it. We didn't do the work. We did it the same old way. We exempted most spending, looked at a couple of programs, tweaked them, tried to get a CBO score, talked about what seemed to be a big number, but a number that is completely inadequate. It doesn't meet the moment. Again, $22 trillion, and that's on the low side, Maria. You've got interest rate risk. That CBO estimate assumes we're going to increase taxes by about $4 trillion. Now, we can argue over, okay, if you increase taxes, they probably wouldn't get that amount. But you still have to account for that $4 trillion if you don't increase taxes. So, again, we are facing a moment here where we've had an unprecedented level of spending increase from 2019, 58% to over $7 trillion. And it's just, we should have returned to pre-pandemic level spending in 2021. Joe Biden didn't do that. He averaged $1.9 trillion worth of deficits. Obama in his last 4 years averaged $550 billion. I mean, that is, again, you have to put all these numbers. I'm working on a report, right?
Bro, we are never going to get rid of this debt, man. I mean, it's just not going to happen, because the thing is that the three things that Republicans care about the most when it comes to funding is obviously military spending, corporate tax cuts, and immigration, right? Those are the top three things that typically Republicans almost always dump a bunch of money into. Bruh, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough, especially with the military spending, with what the fuck we got going on in the Middle East, man.
Right now, doing all the work, hope to have a complete the 2025 budget reconciliation, facts and figures. I hope to hold a hearing.
And then on top of that, we already talked about, the bureaucracy of the government where, they pass a bill, it moves, Senate changes it, sends it back to the House. They could say, no, we didn't approve this. You guys changed it too much. And then they go back and forth. And what ends up happening a lot of times, guys, is they stall it out. When they stall it out, this is how they kind of able to kill bills, just by stalling it out. The president only has 4 years, guys. 4 years is not that much time to get shit done, to be honest with y'all.
Hearing within the next couple of weeks, certainly before we take any votes on this.
Are you willing to take this so far as to blow up President Trump's agenda and lose the re-election in 2026?
Absolutely not. No, I want to see him succeed. But again, my loyalty is to the American people, to my kids and grandkids. We cannot continue to mortgage their future. The transfer of wealth from old people like me to young people is literally immoral. What's been happening? It has to stop. And this is our only moment. Again, it's been
yeah, cryptocurrency, man. Cryptocurrency has made more retarded fucking millionaires than ever before. And then you got the whole economy of the internet with thoughts, making a bunch of money as well. Whores making a bunch of fucking money.
Unprecedented level spending. There's
a blow up in the sex industry.
There's no justification for $4.4 to $7 trillion in just 6 years. Getting back to a reasonable pre-pandemic level, you do it line by line by line. Listen, I think the House has done a lot of good work. We should take on that. We should expand on it. But again, we're not going to have the time. Nobody's been willing to take the time or do the work to go line by line. Again, Rick Scott has the experience in Florida. Take a look at how successful he was at reducing spending, balancing his budget, and then giving tax cuts to Floridians.
You've said a number of times that you want to get back to pre-pandemic spending. Let me get your take, Senator. What specifically will it take in terms of the number of cuts? How much cutting do you need to do to get back to pre-pandemic spending?
My guess would probably be hundreds and thousands of cuts line by line. Again, you look back to Bill Clinton in 1998, we actually had a surplus. Obama 2014, Trump in 2019. You leave Social Security, Medicare, and interest alone, spend what you need to spend, plus up all those actual outlays by population growth and inflation, you end up with a baseline budget somewhere between $5.5 and $6.5 trillion. Senate budget, when we passed our budget reconciliation, we picked a midpoint about $6 trillion. That's a reasonable baseline to start from. How many times have you heard members of Congress say you need to go return to zero-based budgeting? I'm not even proposing that. I'm saying.
All right, let's move real quick to foreign affairs because we're getting tight for time here. So this comes from Patrick McDavid, right? This is Donald Trump on Truth Social. I just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and on this, I believe that we're in agreement. President Putin suggested that he will participate in discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It's my opinion that Iran has been slow-walking their decision on this very important matter and will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. Yeah, the reason why they're slow-walking the answer is because they don't trust you, Donnie. Like, let's just be honest, man. You ripped up the nuclear deal that Obama took years to put together. So, yeah, they don't trust America. Because last time we told people to give up their uranium and nuclear program, there was a guy named Gaddafi and he got killed 10 years later. He does not trust us or the Israelis.
Busy day trying to convince holdout Republican senators to support his budget bill. He also had a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin about Russia.
So these are three things on Trump's plate right now. This bill, right, which is going to add more deficit, obviously. The big, beautiful bill, which is hilarious that he called it that. Obviously, Iran and the nuclear deal and the conflict in Russia. As you guys know, I brought Scott Ritter on. We talked about the history of it, etc. If you guys want to know more, go tune into last night's podcast. It was awesome. I had Scott Ritter on for about an hour. We discussed Russia, Ukraine. We went all the way from the beginning to how we got to this conflict to what transpired last week. But for those of you that are just tuning in, basically what happened was Ukraine led an operation where they had a bunch of drones kamikaze in 5 different strategic locations for Russia, and they destroyed a bunch of aircraft. And some of the aircraft they destroyed were nuclear-capable aircrafts of dropping atomic bombs. Obviously, this is a big problem because that cost Russia billions upon billions of dollars, this attack, because it destroyed some very sophisticated and important equipment when it comes to what they destroyed with these fucking cheap drones. So they conducted this operation. It took them something like 18 months to plan. And they were successful. And obviously, Russia's going to have to retaliate to this to some degree. But, that's kind of where we're at, man. Ukraine got a good operation going across, got a good operation conducted, but they're going to pay for it, bro.
Russia's war with Ukraine. Erica Brown reports from the White House.
And make no mistake about it, the reason why Trump jumped on the phone with Putin today to talk to him was, number one, to say, hey, I had no knowledge of this. Number two, please don't totally fucking decimate Ukraine. And then number three, let's come to some kind of peace agreement. But I guarantee you, most of the phone call was probably about the attack on Russia and their military bases, which is a significant escalation, chat, by the way.
President Trump is meeting with some Senate Republicans Wednesday who still have questions about his massive spending package. Some Republican senators have criticized what the president calls his one big beautiful bill, calling for steeper spending cuts.
We've got to sharpen the pencil when we go to the White House today. Well, I'm sure we'll have a discussion about ways we have to do it. But the House had a good start, but we're not done yet.
The Congressional Budget Office released a new estimate projecting the bill would add $2.4 trillion to the deficit over the next 10 years. It also says cuts to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act would result in nearly 11 million people losing health insurance over the next decade.
There's a cold, harsh reality.
Yep, Mr. Schumer.
That this bill is just tax breaks for the ultra-wealthy, paid for by gutting health care for up to 16 million Americans.
The White
Yeah, and the Democrats are absolutely going to vote against this bill, all of them.
House has pushed back on a previous warning from the CBO that the bill adds to the deficit.
This is an institution in our country that has become partisan and political, and we are very confident in our own economic analyses of this bill.
President Trump also spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin for more than an hour Wednesday as his administration pushes for a peace deal to end the war in Ukraine. Trump said he had a good conversation with Putin, but not one that would lead to immediate peace.
Yeah, of course not.
He says Putin stressed.
And we went over what Russia wants yesterday, actually, guys. We went in detail about it, but I think it's 5 different things. Excuse me, let me try to remember from the top of my head. Number 1, demilitarization of Ukraine with 50,000 or less soldiers. Maintaining the territories that they've already conquered all across eastern Ukraine to include Crimea. No NATO joining. Zelensky steps down as leader and someone else comes in. And then the 5th one was, man, I think actually it was demilitarized. And then the 5th one was maintaining a force of 50,000 or less. I think that's what it was, guys. So number 1, no joining NATO. Number 2, Zelensky steps down. Number 3, demilitarize. Number 4, they keep the territory that they've already conquered. And then number 5, having less than 50,000 troops. That's what Russia wants. And this is what Ukraine will not agree to. Ukraine wants Russia to completely pull out of Ukraine and pay them reparations. And we all know that's going to be a nope. So Zelensky needs to stop being a fucking retard.
Welcome, punch!
Because them boys lost the war, okay? It's actually comical for him to try to sit there with no leverage and say, oh yeah, you guys got to pay us the reparations too. No wonder we can't fucking find a middle ground.
That Russia will respond to Ukraine's latest drone attack on Russian airfields.
President Trump added President Putin offered to end discussions with Iran about ending that country's nuclear program.
See, and here's the other thing too, right? Because there's a lot of fucking rumors on this thing with the Iran deal. We might not have time to get into the Iran deal, I'll be honest with you guys.
Press briefing room. We do see that folks have their cameras at the ready. So
okay. Let's get into the Diddy thing because we didn't get a chance to do this.
Hi, I'm Eva Pilgrim. Thanks for streaming with us. 2 new witnesses taking the stand on day 16 of testimony.
Yeah, because we didn't get the full testimony for today. So let's go ahead and get today's testimony. And then I might cover the Iran nuclear deal tomorrow for you guys because we're going to do Fresh and Fit at 8.
In the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking and racketeering trial. This morning, a forensic video expert testified about that 2016 hotel surveillance footage showing Combs attacking Cassie Ventura. The defense raised questions about whether the footage was manipulated, but the expert saying there are no anomalies going on in the file to indicate it had been manually altered.
Okay, this is the video, obviously, that of Diddy chasing Cassie down in the hallway.
Expert was followed by
okay, and that's the Asian girl I told you guys about, Bongolan or whatever her name is, the drug user.
Cassie Ventura's friend, Bryana Bongolan, known as Bana. She told the jury that in 2016, Combs dangled her over a 17th floor balcony.
Yo, that's crazy.
The claim Combs denies. Bongolan also testified about a time she said she was asleep in Ventura's apartment and was woken up by Combs banging at the door. She described Combs being upset, saying, "I just remember seeing a knife get thrown in her direction," referring to Ventura.
Wow.
Prosecutor asked, how did Cassie react?
Oh, she threw that shit back, bruh.
The knife was thrown in her direction. Bongolan responded, she threw it back, adding that it didn't hit Combs. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. If convicted, he faces the possibility of life in prison. Later in the show, the frenzy around this trial. We have a YouTube star, Tisa Tells, joining us live. She goes to court every day, live streaming her real-time commentary for her more than 500,000 followers. She'll help us set the scene about what's happening around this high-profile criminal trial. But we begin with ABC News chief investigative correspondent Aaron Kotursky live outside.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you guys. For a lot of these YouTubers, this shit is like a fucking a big come up for a lot of them, bro. I'll be honest with y'all, man. A lot of these YouTubers, bro, they only get views when they cover shit like this. Not really too diversified or interesting themselves. Not saying that that's what Tisa Tells is, but a lot of YouTubers, man, like they're this is their shit. Like, you know what I mean? They don't really cover anything else.
Outside the federal courthouse here in Manhattan. Aaron, the day started with that forensic video analyst talking about the hotel video. What did he say?
It wasn't so much what he said, Eva. It's more what his testimony allowed federal prosecutors to do, and that's play what may be some of the most visceral evidence for the jury over and over. The defense kind of opened the door to this, and the judge told them as much outside the presence of the jury by suggesting that the video had been manipulated or sped up or somehow altered. The judge told the defense, you know, you're having prosecutors dispel that by having them play the video, which is not something the defense really wanted.
Yeah, that was a big mistake doing that shit. Because it is going to influence the jury to a degree.
And yet there was Frank Piazza, this forensic video analyst, walking through frame by frame in the jury.
But yeah, guys, don't worry. I will probably go back up to New York and cover this case a bit more. I'm just trying to figure out when. Because I do think that I got the best coverage by far. Because these other YouTubers, man, they don't understand how the legal system works or how the feds work or any of that other stuff. So, I might go back up there, guys, maybe next week, but I'll figure that out. I'll figure that out for you ninjas. But yeah.
Again, getting to see Sean Combs throwing Cassie Ventura to the floor, kicking her, stomping her, dragging her, throwing a vase of flowers at her. And on cross-examination, the defense took pains to show how the time codes didn't match or the cameras didn't appear to be in sync, but there was no evidence that any of this footage had been altered. And Eva, remember, when it first appeared on television...
Yeah, so the defense fucked up by bringing that in, by saying, oh, yo, you guys edited the footage to make it look worse because they sped up the footage, right? And it makes it look like Diddy was chasing after her and he hit her super hard because he kicked her and it goes faster. So it created this element of, of him being more aggressive than he might have really been because they sped up the video.
Sean Combs issued an apology.
Or the allegation was made for that.
Not denying any of the conduct. He said what's depicted on the video, his behavior, was inexcusable.
Today's big witness, Aaron, was
and he deleted that shit after on Instagram.
A friend of Cassie Ventura at the time. How did she come to be a part of Combs and Ventura's circle?
Bryana Bongolan met Cassie Ventura while working for a design studio. They were trying to start a line of T-shirts, and Cassie was sort of the name brought in, the talent, and Bongolan was the one to extract the ideas and come up with a clothing line. And they eventually did, although Beyonce and Rihanna also had lines of T-shirts at the same time, so they were never really successful, she said. But eventually they became friends, and really they became drug partners, as she testified. Both she and Cassie Ventura developed a drug partnership where Bongolan...
Yeah, and guys, they did a lot of drugs, bro. Like, Cassie was talking about how she was on drugs like every day, opiates and shit like that.
Would buy the
Diddy too. This was a drug and fueled freak off / degenerate party, man.
Drugs, sell them to Cassie so much so that she became reliant as part of her income on Cassie buying drugs from her. And they did everything. Ecstasy, Molly, cocaine, marijuana, ketamine, Cocoa Puffs, which the jury learned what that was, a mix of marijuana and cocaine. And the defense tried to seize on that to color her testimony.
She also told the story about Diddy dangling her over a balcony. What happened?
A real harrowing account of fear and danger. It was 2016. She said she was asleep in Cassie Ventura's apartment when she woke to Sean Combs yelling and banging on the door. And then she remembers running out onto the balcony, trying to make it seem like she was acting casual. Sean Combs comes and lifts her up, telling her, you know what the F you did, and lifts her onto the railing. She said her feet were dangling over. Sean Combs then lifted her off the railing, threw her onto some furniture. The jury saw pictures of the bruise on her leg and the bandages on her back.
As she's telling the story,
bruh. Man.
I'm curious, what was the reaction from the jurors, from Combs?
Yeah, Sean Combs was shaking his head when she first talked about some of these things. She said that Sean Combs threw a knife at Cassie. She said that once Sean Combs threatened her, that you know I'm the devil and I could kill you. And Sean Combs kind of shook his head a little bit as if to say he didn't quite remember that. And on cross-examination, the defense hammered home what they said were inconsistencies in the way that she's gone over these accounts with prosecutors before trial, the way she testified to them today.
Yeah, they definitely attacked her credibility, probably saying you used drugs, you had an axe to grind, you probably also have a lawsuit.
And the way she wrote about them in a civil lawsuit that saw 10...
Of course she had a civil lawsuit.
Welcome, punch!
$1 million from Sean Combs.
Bongolan's going to take the stand again tomorrow. What can we expect from her tomorrow?
There'll be more of the same relentless cross-examination. Defense attorney Nicole Westmoreland is asking her, you said this to prosecutors, you testified this way. What's up with that? I don't remember. Over and over and over. But Eva, I'm curious as to whether it even matters, because the only thing I can figure is that her story about the balcony and the knife throwing, it all kind of goes to the racketeering point that maybe this is why Cassie Ventura, as prosecutors allege, felt coerced into sexual acts, because she witnessed some of the violence that Bongolan described. On the other hand, her testimony may not have been important at all for that reason, but because she did testify that Sean Combs sold her drugs, another component of racketeering, and that may be what prosecutors hope to gain from her testimony.
Aaron Koturski there at the courthouse, and we should note that Combs denies all of the charges, including those claims that he was dangling her over the balcony there. We have now with us ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer joining me. You got your sleeves rolled up. We got a lot to talk about today. So what stood out to you most?
All right, so of course we had the two witnesses, Frank Piazza and Bryana Bongolan, who testified. Frank Piazza, again, with the video surveillance, saying that the defense basically made the argument that the time codes didn't match up from the different angles, but also one of the angles, that being the lobby. You saw these.
Oh yeah, this guy was in the courtroom with me too. I've seen that guy in the courtroom before. Chat, this black dude.
Kind of 10 and 20, sometimes 30-second skips, but nonetheless, the video spoke for itself. And Bryana testifying about, again, as Aaron Koturski pointed out, those harrowing moments of the knife being thrown allegedly at Sean Combs and then actually thrown back at him, and then picking her up by the armpits and then dangling her over the balcony. I still have a big question mark as to whether or not it's true. We'll talk about that in a moment, though.
Okay, this video expert that we heard from today, he confirmed that the video was not altered, that it had been unaltered. Was that even a question?
It was a question. It was a big question that the defense had brought up before the trial had begun, during the trial. And I'm not sure if, for lack of a term, the juice was worth the squeeze, because they're combating this argument. They're trying to make it seem like it's being skipped over. It's sped up to make it look more menacing. But it gave the government the opportunity to play it over and over and over again. And that's
not good.
Not something you want the jury to see of your client. Some of the most violent and dangerous testimony and video they're going to see in this case.
We also heard from Cassie Ventura's friend at the time, Bryana Bongolan. The story that she told, Aaron was just talking about that, her dangling over the balcony. This is a pretty crazy story. The jurors got to see the pictures of the balcony there.
Yeah, so she's testifying on the stand that for a split.
And I remember I had covered this balcony before, chat, this balcony story, because this woman had launched a lawsuit against Diddy, and this balcony incident was mentioned in her lawsuit. So again, it's kind of good for the defense that they have these lawsuits, because it gives the defense ample time to research and attack them on it. Like, hey, you got financial incentive in this?
Second, she was
to attack their credibility.
Thinking she was going to fall, but for the most part, he was just yelling over and over again for about 15 seconds. But I'm the son of a general contractor, and I thought that this story didn't make sense, because most balconies, if you know, we have young children, we see balconies all the time, we're like, that's too low, too high. Balconies in California and New York have to be 42 inches high. She's 5'1", if you believe Sean Combs' social media and posts. He's 5'10". To pick up someone by the armpits.
Bro ain't 5'10", bro. He's not. He's like 5'8", Chad. When I saw him in the courtroom, he's not 5'10".
And lift them 42 inches high to that point. That didn't make sense to me. And the allegations that she's using drugs and that she couldn't understand or remember a lot of these incidences, I think that's what the defense is going to really hone in on and be like, this story is not plausible. It must not be true.
Yeah, we heard Aaron talk a lot about all the list of drugs that she said she had been using. And that at some point, both her and Cassie Ventura tried to stop using the drugs, but they couldn't. Why was that?
Drug use is difficult, especially when you're talking about the various cocktails. I practiced defense here in New York for over a decade, and I was learning about some of the drugs that they were using, the cocoa puffs that Aaron brought up. But they did say they were close friends trying to kick the habit, that they had tried cooking as a way of trying to pull apart from the drug use. But it was so much, even to the point that Bryana, when she...
Hey guys, do me a solid, man. We only got 1,300 likes, man. Smash that like button, bro. Smash that like button, chat.
Reached out when Cassie had filed a lawsuit about this very incident about the balcony. She said, some of those facts are incorrect. It wasn't at a hotel. This person wasn't there. This didn't happen. And her response was very interesting as to Cassie kind of just almost shrugging off and her giving an excuse of, we used a lot of drugs at the time, so maybe the story might have been off. Another thing I think the defense is going to hone in on, and I'm not quite sure if this was the best witness to put on at the end of the day. I don't think it really helped the government, but it definitely gave the defense someone to kind of point out and say, this is false. And they might be able
you're a degenerate drug user, just like Cassie.
Let's sprinkle that throughout the rest of the trial and say, maybe other things are false too.
Brian Buckmeyer, always so good to have you. Still ahead, allegations of abuse and violence, admissions of heavy drug use. Which side did the best in presenting their case today? Our legal minds, Brian and Bernardo, break it all down for us when we come back. Did they really need an expert witness to testify about that video?
The prosecution had to call an expert witness to testify about the video because there were allegations by the defense that the video was altered. So in order to prove its validity, its authentication, the prosecutor...
You need to bring in an expert. And that's why, like, for example, they brought in a special agent when it came to the forensic information. They brought in a special agent when it came to the search warrants. You need someone to authenticate that evidence.
I had to call an expert and testify that, look, this has not been altered. This is the video. So what you see in that video is exactly what transpired. Because now you take that question off the table from the jury. They don't have to figure out, wait, is the video altered? Did they mess it up? Did somebody insert some things in it? Now you take it away from them because you have an expert that testified that that did not happen. So yes, unfortunately, the jury did have to see it at least 50 times today doing a direct examination, doing cross-examination.
You were saying, like, it's not a good idea to play this not flattering video of your client. How do you think they've handled this?
I don't think it's a great idea, but if you're going to do it, then do it. And I think the positive that does come from it is when you watch a video as harrowing as this, the first time you watch it for the violence, the second time you do it as well, the third, the fourth, the 50th time, now the sting has already been taken out, and that might be beneficial.
But that was the defense that was actually playing it so many times today. I mean, literally, they played it at least 25 times. So it was coming from the defense.
But now you might have trained the jury to say, okay, you've seen the violence already. Now start to look for the details. Is something wrong in this video? Is something wrong here? Is it skipping over pieces? Is the government being deceptive? And if you can discredit the government for how they're presenting the case, you're that much closer to an acquittal.
Okay, we have to talk about Bryana's testimony on the stand today. What's the prosecution hoping to show with her?
So the prosecution called Bryana to show a couple of things. Number one, they want to corroborate Cassie's testimony in terms of the violence that Cassie underwent at the hands of Combs, in terms of what is Combs' demeanor, what's his, in terms of threatening people, the threats that she actually heard from Sean Combs. Also to go through, they wanted to put that piece of evidence that she was dangled from the balcony. So that was key. But I think more importantly, when we're talking about the charges, the racketeering conspiracy, how does her testimony fall into the charge is a predicate act of the possession with intent to distribute, because she did testify that there were multiple occasions that Sean Combs gave her narcotics, and that is one of the racketeering acts.
Yeah,
if it's believed, of course.
If it's believed is a big thing. I don't think, and we've seen this in our own cases, I don't think people believe drug dealers. And at the end of the day, that's what she's going to be painted as. She testified on the stand that her and Cassie used drugs at least once a week. And then when pressed on by even the government, she said, well, it increased over time. So more than once a week. And then when the defense came up, Nicole Westmoreland, amazing cross-examination thus far, the laundry list of the types of drugs. I never knew what Cocoa Puffs were.
Like, we all learned what Cocoa Puffs were today.
Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, I've been practicing for over a decade. I thought I knew all the drugs. Didn't know that one. And now you have this person who's supposed to rest their credibility of what Cassie was doing, what Sean Combs was doing. I think they could have done without this witness.
Are the drugs a problem?
It's not a problem, and this is why I say that. As a former prosecutor, when you're dealing with witnesses, one thing that you tell the jury all the time is that you take your witnesses as you get them. I didn't make these people witnesses.
Yeah, but she made herself high.
The defendant made this person a witness, so I'm not here to clean up this person. I'm presenting you the person with their flaws as they are. I'm not trying to clean them up. In the end, it was the defendant that made that person a witness. Also, remember that also fits in the narrative in the sense of that the prosecution is saying that Sean Combs is the one who got Cassie addicted to drugs. So here you have the corroboration from another person that's...
Yeah, and that's where the importance comes in with this witness. Though her credibility sucks, the thing is that there's been other witnesses that are more credible that have corroborated this kind of theme. So that's where her importance can come in. And then obviously they like the balcony dangling is important because they're trying to illustrate that Diddy is a violent individual that uses fear, intimidation, and violence to rule over his organization. That's another important reason why they brought her in as a witness, despite the fact that she's a drug user.
On drugs, that this is how much drugs they used to take as a result of it.
Clean them up as you want. And let me parse through this. I feel for people who have substance abuse issues. It is a serious thing in this country. We have represented people who have hit rock bottom, and my heart breaks for them.
On both sides, prosecution and defense.
I am not discrediting her for having that abuse and going through that. That is her own trauma that she's working through. But if you're going to ask me to believe what she heard, what she saw, what she felt, and what she's testing to when she was in the thralls of that all, that's a whole different thing that I think is difficult for the jury. I hope she gets the help. I'm glad that she got a tattoo of January 2nd, 2018 on her neck, and she's now getting sober. But
fucking thoughts, bro.
Welcome, punch!
Leaving what she saw and heard on that day, that's a different thing that the jury's have to grapple with.
You don't think she was believable?
No, I don't think in many things. I still go back to the balcony. I'm like, it doesn't make sense if Sean Combs is picking her up from underneath the armpits to clear that level.
I wish I had a tape measure.
there were issues with her testimony. I did question the prosecutor for calling this witness. Personally, I would not have called this witness as a prosecutor on this case. I don't think that you needed to call her.
Why would you not have called her?
Because I don't think that the pros of what she brings to the table, how she moves the ball in terms of proving these charges, are not outweighed by the cons that she has in terms of the drug abuse, in terms of selling drugs, in terms of the inconsistencies, in terms of how she held herself up doing cross-examination.
Yeah, it always comes to a cost-benefit analysis. And I agree with the prosecutor on this. Based off the testimony I've heard, you know, she might have created more problems than benefits bringing her in. Just because of her questionable past, the story happening while she was high. You know, again, but the government looks at it like, look, we got a lot of witnesses. You know, they're hoping, I think, to like just show a bunch of different witnesses that are saying the same thing, even if some of them aren't credible, to corroborate the fact that Diddy is violent. So I think that's what the prosecution strategy was. We're bringing her in because though she's not credible herself, our other witnesses are going to make her credible. Does that make sense, chat? Smash that like button, niggas.
I think she also hurts the case because she's the person who's testifying that she's supplying drugs to Cassie, something that the defense is definitely going to pounce on closing.
And so is Combs.
How much for each though?
I know.
Because she said,
but all you need is one.
She said,
all you need is one time that Combs
gave it to her once, according to her.
That's all you need.
Many times, if you believe her.
If you believe her, everything comes down to credibility.
And I love that you kind of both agree on that one. Ryan Buckmeyer, Bernardo Villalona, thank you both for being here with us today. Still ahead, the media circus, the networks, the influencers, the bloggers, oh my, they are all lining up outside to bring their followers and viewers in. We chat with YouTuber Tisa Tells when we come back. Hi, I'm so curious because you have a lot of followers. What are they most curious about learning about with this trial?
So they're curious about learning something that you can't get in the tweets or even the articles. They want to know the energy. Diddy's captivated everyone, and they really want to know the tea. What's going on? How were the jurors looking? How's the judge acting? They want to get as much information as they can. I've never seen anything like it. Everybody just wants a bird's eye view of what's going on in the courtroom because they want to find out whether he's going to be convicted or not, and they want as much spoilers as they can get.
Yeah, I'm curious too. Like, how many people are like when you look at the numbers of people who are like coming to your YouTube channel and the comments, are you seeing a spike in those types of views and comments?
It's a major spike. Again, even people that aren't even on YouTube. You know, of course, you guys.
Let's look here. I gotta see this real fast.
They want to know the energy. Diddy's captivated.
So, right, this is the girl. Right, you click here, videos. Now let's go. Everything is Diddy, it looks like. So you guys can see, right? Like, I hit the live. Maybe that's going to be better. Was she live streaming before this trial? All Diddy, all Diddy. See, and that's another reason, too, why I wanted to come back, chat. I didn't want to make my channel a fucking Diddy channel, man. You know what I mean? So, like, you look here, everything is, and you guys can see like the numbers drastically change once the trial begins, right? So this is a big come up for a lot of people, bro. Look, now she's getting into the hundreds once the trial comes because she's there. You know what I mean? Because prior to that shit, you look like no views, bro. Not the same. So damn, everything is Diddy, bro. See, what ends up happening is you end up having to keep reporting on the same thing to get views. And I didn't want to fall into that Diddy trap, man. You know what I mean? No pun intended. But like, you know, what ends up happening a lot of times is you just get stuck in that niche and you can't do nothing else.
As legacy media, they consume it, but then it's this voracious appetite. They're going to YouTube, they're going to TikTok. You know, people are talking about it at work. They cannot get enough about it. It's really, I've never seen this much coverage across all platforms when it comes to a trial.
And so what's interesting with this trial is that there are no cameras in the courtroom, so we can't see what's going on inside. So walk us through for people who...
All right, I've already described what's going on in the trial. Let's move on to geopolitics. Okay, so you guys, we're diversified over here, baby.
Falcon punch!
All right, let's talk about Syria bombs Israel, because this is a big deal, guys. As you guys know, right, Syria has been taken over by this guy, right, al-Jolani. This guy right here, a.k.a. Ahmed al-Sharaa, also known as Jolani. He's, it's funny how they clean him up. But he's the current president of Syria right now. And he basically, guys, met with Trump not too long ago when Trump made his Middle Eastern trip. Right here.
President Trump met with the Syrian president.
This is historic, by the way.
In Saudi Arabia this morning. The new Syrian leader is a former insurgent once jailed by U.S. forces after being captured in Iraq.
Yeah, he was former al-Qaeda guy, bro. Just so you guys know. This dude is former al-Qaeda, man.
Trump has agreed to end sanctions against Syria, a country that has been shattered by more than a decade of civil war. And the face-to-face meeting comes as Trump
And just so you guys know, Jolani came into power because of Israel, FYI, okay? I've described this before. If you guys want me to talk about it, give me ones in the chat if you guys want me to talk about how this guy came into power. If not, give me twos if you just want to keep it pushing. Give me ones if you guys want me to explain how he came into power. Give me twos if you guys just wanted to keep pushing. Because I've talked about it before, but I know we got a lot of new viewers in here. So yeah.
Wraps up his visit to Saudi Arabia. He's now in Qatar amid criticism and scrutiny about a $400 million luxury jet the royal family offered to give to him. ABC's Christian Cordero has those details.
Today, President Trump heads to his second of 3 Gulf states, arriving in Qatar this morning and leaving Saudi Arabia, where he heaped praise on Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the man U.S. intelligence concluded orchestrated the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal.
Yeah, Khashoggi. Yeah, they killed his ass in the embassy, chat. They killed his ass in the embassy, chat. All right, I see a lot of ones. Damn, okay. Well, that's, I guess, a good sign. A lot of you guys are new here.
Jamal Khashoggi.
Yeah, they killed Jamal Khashoggi, the Saudi Arabian government did, because he was criticizing the government. This picture's crazy, though.
In 2018, Trump instead focusing on the region's economic prosperity and announcing at the Crown Prince's request he will lift U.S. sanctions on Syria.
To give them a fresh start, it gives them a chance for greatness.
The sanctions were put in place during
This is Bashar al-Assad. This was the former president of Syria before Jolani took power.
The Assad regime that has since crumbled. Its new government now in power for the past 6 months.
There's a humanitarian reason to want the sanctions to be lifted, which is that the people of Syria have suffered under the sanctions. The United States should be cautious too, because you don't want.
Hey guys, if this is your first time catching a live stream, do me a solid, man. Give me an O/ in the chat. Give me an O/ to the chat, guys, if this is your first time catching a live stream. Give me an O/ in the chat if this is your first time.
Want to go whole hog and invest in any particular regime.
Trump meeting with Syria's new president today before heading to his next stop. Hanging over the president's entire Middle East visit, questions about the...
Hey, free speech advocate, you retard. This is not your first time in here. You clearly can't take directions, you fucking dumbass. Change your name to retard advocate, because that's what you are. Yeah, give me an O/ if this is your first time catching a live stream, guys.
Trump family's business interests. Sons Don Jr. and Eric Trump now run the Trump Organization and have projects in the works in all 3 countries the president is visiting this week. His visit to Qatar also under scrutiny after its royal family offered that $400 million luxury jet, which Trump wants to use as Air Force One. His plan received swift...
All right, so I'll go ahead and quickly explain this to you guys because I know that we got a lot of people. I just try not to
President Trump
bring the same thing over and over again, but I will go ahead and show you guys how this guy came into power. All right, so let's go ahead and go look at a map, okay? So where is Syria located? Located in the Middle East, right? So here we go to Syria. Now, for you guys to understand what's going on here, we need to understand proximity and geography, right? So Syria, for a very long time under the Bashar al-Assad regime, was a proxy power utilized by Iran to wage its war against Israel, okay? So Syria's main purpose in this situation was Iran would ship weapons, soldiers, equipment, resources, supplies to Hezbollah over here in Lebanon. Now, Syria was critical for this because what Syria would do is they would facilitate these items being transported to Lebanon so that they can go ahead and fight against the Israelis. Why? Because Israel's right here. Lebanon sits just north of Israel. Now, after October 7th happened, the Israelis decided to launch a ground campaign into southern Lebanon. Why? Because in southern Lebanon, they were shooting rockets into northern Israel. This is creating a pandemonium for the Israeli government. They had to pretty much evacuate this entire northern Israel region, Haifa, etc., all these major areas. because the rockets were constantly coming in from Lebanon. Now, these rockets were being supplied by Iran, and the rockets were moving through Syria. So when Israel went into Lebanon on this ground offensive, they went in to destroy these homes that were being utilized to shoot rockets, as well as they started bombing Beirut. During the course of their bombing, they murdered a guy named Hassan Nasrallah, okay, the leader of Hezbollah. Also, when they made their ground assault here, though they did not go as far as they wanted to, they were supposed to pass the Litani River, and they did not. They were claiming that they were going to make it all the way to Beirut, but they did not. But they were able to weaken Hezbollah, significantly weaken Hezbollah. Also, they ran the pager attack, which was successful, and also created some tension within their ranks. So what ended up happening was Hezbollah, by losing their leader, being attacked on a ground offensive, and the pager attack, it pretty much put them in disarray, okay? And what ended up happening was Lebanon and Israel struck a ceasefire, okay, at the end of last year. When Israel and Lebanon struck this ceasefire, the Israeli troops pulled out, but Lebanon being weakened created an opportunity. Well, guess who took over that opportunity? The current leader of Syria, Jolani. When they did the ceasefire, what they did was they were set up over here in the Idlib area, these rebels, and they basically went in and took over Aleppo. And after they took over Aleppo, they went and worked their way down to Damascus. They were able to take Syria over within 2 weeks. Okay, so the ceasefire happens in late 2024. By the end of 2024, Syria is now under new rule of the rebels. Okay? Bashar al-Assad fled to Russia, and he's currently there on asylum. So once Jolani took over the Syrian government, 2 things he wanted to do. He wanted to normalize relations between Israel and the United States and get the sanctions lifted. Okay, as you guys know, under the Bashar al-Assad regime and the civil war that they had been suffering for almost 10 years now, the government had, the economy was tanked. So this new leader, thanks to the Israelis, was able to use the opportunity provided by the ceasefire to go in and take over. Now, once Jolani took over, he kicked all of the Iranian officials out, the IRGC, and he is not allowing Lebanon to be resupplied and Hezbollah to be resupplied. Okay? Give me ones in the chat if that makes sense. That is how your boy Jolani took over power. Give me ones if that makes sense in chat. All right, awesome. Okay, now, the reason why this is so weird is because Syria got the sanctions lifted by the United States, and they're making moves to recognize Israel as a sovereign state, or recognize, officially recognize Israel, which many Arab countries don't want to do, but Syria is. So there was this rocket attack against Israel from Syria. That's why it's unusual. But this was from a rebel group that has nothing to do with the Syrian government, if I'm not mistaken. So they shot rockets from Syrian territory. So northern Israel is on alert. Okay, let me see if I can find a better video for this shit. Give me 1 second, ninjas. Yeah, that's the only problem with these fucking foreign niggas, man. They're fucking trash at this shit. Oh, okay. Okay, here we go.
So we're just hearing that the Israeli army is shelling Syrian territory with artillery.
Yes, so Israel did respond and shoot back at Syria, but these people that shot at Israel in the first place were Syrian rebels.
That's after it said 2 projectiles made impact in the occupied Golan Heights after being...
Okay, Golan Heights, guys, is this area right here. This area right here. It's technically Syria, but it's really not. It's occupied by Israel for strategic reasons. Boom. Here it is. The Golan Heights right here. It's a basaltic plateau at the southwest corner of Syria. It is bordered by the Yarmouk River in the south. And this is obviously a very strategic area for Israel, right? And Israel's been occupying this area for a very long time. So internationally recognized as Syrian territory, but it's occupied by Israel. Because, you know, that's what the Israelis do. They occupy land that isn't theirs all the time and say it's for defense.
Launched from Syria.
And there's a group of people that live there called the Druze, if I'm not mistaken. It's an ethno-religious group. Okay, so they don't identify as Muslims. They maintain Arabic language or culture as integral parts of their identity. But yeah, this is where this place has a big Druze population, the Golan Heights.
For more on all of this, we have Hamda Salhout joining us live now from the Jordanian capital, Amman. And as we mentioned earlier, she's there because the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from
the Israeli government banned Al Jazeera, bro. Yo, they banned all international reporters, man.
Reporting not just inside of Israel, but also the occupied West Bank. Now, Hamda, what more are you hearing from where you are?
Well, two incidents taking place just in the last hour or so. The first one, a missile launched by the Houthis in Yemen. The Israeli military says that it was successfully intercepted, but this projectile caused sirens to go off in 139 different locations across Israel. The sirens heard all the way from the north to the south, and even in occupied East Jerusalem. Video on social media showing the projectile and the interception in the sky as far as Beit Hanina in Jerusalem. Now, as for the other story that we're talking about here, two rockets, the military says, launched from Syrian territory, the first such attack in over a year, since May 2024. And they say it's the first since the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime. The military says they're now responding with artillery fire and that both of those rockets fell in open areas without any injuries. But now they're investigating who exactly launched those rockets.
We know it wasn't from the Syrian government. These are rebels. Obviously, guys, they're in the early stages because this guy Jolani only took power in January. So obviously, there's still going to be a bunch of rebel groups that are still all over Syria that don't like the Israelis, right? But yeah, Jolani is trying to normalize relations with the West.
But the military.
Just so you guys know, maybe this is me putting my tinfoil hat on, but I think the Israelis actually backed him when he went over to overthrow the Assad government. I definitely think the Israelis paid him and backed him to do it. The guy's 100% a Western asset for sure. That's why they're okay with him being in power. Basically a puppet government that benefits the West.
Says they are going to continue to strike wherever they see threats.
Okay, thanks very much, Hamda Salhout, there with that latest update there on projectiles from both Yemen and Syria towards Israel.
All right. Let's see if we can find the one, because they were retaliating, shooting back. All right, guys, it's 7:59. We're going to do Fresh to Fit here soon. So, change the title a little bit of the stream. Let me check and see if we're gonna go live right now or if I still have some more time. Give me 1 sec, chat. Mo's here and the squad is here. Give me 1 second, ninjas. All right. As usual, Fresh is on black man time. Bruh. Niggas gonna be niggas, man. Okay, let's see here. So this is when Israel is getting attacked. This looks like Tel Aviv. And as you guys know, anytime they're getting, missiles are coming over, they flare these loud ass alarms and the Iron Dome starts shooting them down. Shout out to St. Francis. Myron, I just got a raise at my job from $33 to $43 with overtime. I can make between $140,000 and $170,000. I'm just turning 24 years old. Appreciate everything you do for young men and just men in general. Got you, St. Francis. Congratulations on your raise, my friend. Congratulations on your fucking raise, man. Happy to hear that. I didn't see Portnoy complain when he tried this pizza. Okay. TBC, this is a comment that is very off topic, but I forgot to mention during the RP Music Night that a good song is Ludacris Ho. Okay. Okay. Awesome. And you guys can see the streets are all fucking empty. Is there anything else here? All right, they're just showing that Hindustan Times. Yeah, these international media outlets are trash when it comes to that shit. Like, nigga, get a reporter. Goddamn. Okay. Okay. So, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream here. Come on over to Fresh and Fit, guys. We're going to talk about Offset. We might talk about DDG and Halle, too. I don't know if I'm going to cover that tonight on Fresh and Fit or I cover it tomorrow on my show. Yeah, let me see here. And we're also got After Hours for you ninjas as well. Got After Hours as well. You guys already know. Always grinding for you ninjas. Let's see here. Boom. All right. And we're going to cover that in detail. So, guys, I'm going to end the stream here. Come on over to Fresh and Fit, guys. We're going to cover Red Pill stuff today. We're going to have a Zoom call also with Cast Club members. So make sure to jump on in. Come on over, guys, to Fresh and Fit. All right. I'll drop the link for you guys in the, I mean, we're going to go there anyway, but like, hold on, let me find it for you guys. Here it is right here, ninjas. Come on over. Come on over, my ninjas. And we're going to be live on Rumble and on YouTube, guys. So wherever you choose to watch, come on over. All right? Love you guys, all 3,000 you guys. Meet us over there. We're going to cover some Red Pill shit. Love you guys.
Every single time.